that loud enough?
I don't know. What was that?
That was.
I'm more just confused. Why
the
you
dude
made that
from,
sound?
You know that legendary music video with He-Man and the...
Yeah. It's Skeletor!
Yeah, Skeletor, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah!
I don't know what they're talking about.
You don't know where... Okay, I'm going to pause the recording. We're going to show Ian He-Man. Okay.
Quality in our podcast, hilarity.
White noise is appropriate because, dare I say, we're all white.
Boys.
White boys,
we should have called our
we should have
called the podcast White Noise. Okay. So, Rise of Skywalker.
We all saw it. At least I think we did. I saw something.
Oh, don't you mean that fan film that was really bad? That was in theaters for some reason?
Yeah, we were just going to see Jumanji, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we're
This
in the
isn't
wrong
Jumanji.
theater.
And there was this
It was funny. It was really funny. I thought it was Jumanji. It's like, this is a great comedy.
This is a great comedy.
I'm very confused.
It makes fun of a beloved franchise a little too much, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It was funny. So bad.
The movie opens. Oh, wait. I forgot. The movie didn't open itself. Because apparently the movie began in a fortnight.
Okay, hold on. So let's get into that. So, Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. The dead speak!
Yeah. Oh.
Freaking just straight up with a Clone Wars opening. Like, corruption! I think Revenge of the Sith
Palpatine.
opens with war, right? Like, that's the first line of the...
Yeah, but that's like
it's like,
more
war!
dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels different. I mean, for one thing, the dead speak is a stupid sentence. It sounds really dumb.
The
really
corpse got
weird.
up and started running. Like, that's what that's saying.
And, okay, like, what happened? Like, what compelled them to open this movie and have the title crawl tell us that Palpatine's back?
Right.
Why do that in the crawl when moments later, literally like a minute into the movie,
Which is another flaw
Kylo
that
goes
we'll
to
get
Palpatine? I said that with a weird emphasis. I said Palpatine.
Palpatine.
Sounds like an orange drink or something.
It's what the kids are all into.
I want to give me a Palpatine. Like a Clementine.
You know, it's for the Palpatines.
Yeah.
So-
It's like a new game, the Palps.
So-
It's the Palpatines.
Palpy boy. So the dead speak. I mean, you know, this text crawl is for the audience, and we know that dead people speak in Star Wars.
That's true! That's true!
It's like, well, no, duh.
We do know that.
Why are you telling us that?
It's been in like
Oh, it's about Palpatine.
That's a really
He's
good
in this
point.
movie, yeah.
We do actually know that the dead speak.
Now, if I remember right, in the text crawl, like, revenge was capitalized.
In fact, yeah, let's look
Let's
up
pull
the text crawl.
crawl. It's leaked somewhere.
I think they officially released it.
This movie has a lot of little
But I just
prequel
want
nods.
pictures.
Yeah.
But it's not like actually acknowledging it as a part
How
of the
many?
franchise. It's more acknowledging like meme culture, I feel like.
I mean, there was the dark side is a pathway to many abilities.
Is that one?
He said that.
He says
And-
do it.
He says do it. Which I did appreciate.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Do it!
But
Maybe it's not as many as I remembered.
that's like, I honestly can't think of many other nods to the prequels. I can think of, like, there's when they're in Babu Frick's workshop, there's like a B1 battle droid, like, slumped over a barrel, but, like, I
cool.
can't think of many other things.
I didn't even notice that. Interesting. Well, my bad. Lucasfilm Limited. Very limited creativity.
Very limited. Okay, so we have The Dead Speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast. A threat of revenge! Yeah, so let's get into that broadcast. So, what insanity compelled them to put the broadcast that the text crawl speaks of in Fortnite? like 2 days before the movie came out.
I mean, that's a good like crossover, but like it's not in your movie.
I think it shows like
Why would you do that?
it shows who they think their target audience is, and it's akin to like I feel like the Marvel audience, a lot of them are big teenage Fortnite players, and they think, well, this is our audience. It's not the old fans or
The
Yeah,
ones
they've
that
certainly
pay for
done everything they
merchandise.
possibly can to alienate old fans.
right. So like we're bringing this young generation. This Star Wars this trilogy is apparently for, whatever that's supposed to mean. Anyway, I want to say this broadcast thing is really stupid.
Yeah.
Like what is he thinking?
Yeah, what?
Like strategically, he's like, "Hey,
Like-
universe, I'm gonna invade. Get ready."
way, I'm coming to get you.
It's like-
your defenses.
I want
not-
to challenge.
It's like, what?
It's not akin to this character that we know who's very cunning
He's
and
a genius.
yeah. And now he's just like, okay, dust this mic off I have here on planet.
on Exegol.
and get
That
that
I-
antenna. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
That I
Is this thing on?
they like heckin' summoned or whatever. Wait, what's the line where they're like, "Oh, it's almost like he summoned the big."
Oh yeah, there's a line where someone mentions that he conjured the
Conjured
fleet, and obviously that's just like a line that someone's like, yeah, he got that line out of nowhere, that fleet out of nowhere, but it really makes it sound like, yeah, he used
like-
the Force to create 1,000 Star Destroyers, which is bogus.
and it doesn't even like this. The movie doesn't even give like a plausible explanation on how they.
No, it
No, it
literally
doesn't try
never
to.
mentions it.
Even the
No.
leaks made more sense because apparently he had like an army of slave children or something making the Star Destroyers, right?
I don't think that was in the leak.
That wasn't in the leaks, so
I
I
mean,
don't think so.
there was I felt like when we read the leaks,
It
there
might
was a
have-
bit more about the slave children being abducted to do stuff.
I don't know where you.
Oh yeah, there was stuff about General Pride like going to abduct kids.
Oh.
But anyway,
I don't remember it very well. That part specifically. This
Yeah.
was like a throwaway
It was
line,
very
even
throwaway.
in the leaks. So.
right. So,
So yeah, the leaks were 100% accurate to a version of Rise of Skywalker. I think like 2 cuts before it got released.
Yeah.
I think everything in the leaks was at one point in the movie and filmed, but they were all cut.
And what we got was like minimum 5 versions before like
Anything
a
salvageable.
publishable
Yeah,
like product.
yeah, it needed way more work.
Nah.
Fun fact: Chris Terrio, the writer of Batman vs Superman and this movie, said that bringing back Palpatine was none other than Kathleen Kennedy's idea. To no one's surprise.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
gonna actually look it up
Wow.
to be absolutely sure, because I don't want to just say that without knowing for sure,
But
but
like,
because I feel like it could have been JJ too. He's like, oh,
well, let's
just throw it in there.
yeah, because like it actually does like, in like the context of all of Star Wars, having him be the bad guy in the prequel, original, and sequel I think would be like a nice whole.
yeah, no, I mean,
But
part of the problem with the sequel trilogy, just as an idea, is that if you call them 7, 8, and 9, and are framing them as sequels of the originals, then you have to match like the cyclical mythological narrative that Star Wars has, and that includes having one big bad and exchanging the power dynamics in each trilogy. Now, the prequels, you have the good guys in power and the bad guys not in power,
Trying to take
and
that
the
power.
bad guys win. Then with the original trilogy, you have the bad guys in power, the bad guys in power, good guys not in power, good guys win. That was the end. But now there's a sequel trilogy, so if you're gonna have to match the way it worked before, you would do good guys in power, bad guys not in power, bad guys win. Which, I'll be honest, it wouldn't even be that bad if they had just broken that last part of it and done good guys in power, bad guys not in power, bad guys lose, good guys win. But then that would still be kind of predictable because it's like, well, the underdogs get crushed. There was never any chance to begin with.
I mean, what you could do and have Force Awakens be the power shifts. So like the good guys are in power, bad guys. I mean, you could maybe keep the First Order because Disney loves the First Order. You could have First Order come in, or just like whatever, Palpatine come in, shift the power structure again, and then for the episode 8.
Yeah.
For episode 8, you have the bad guys in power, and then for episode 9, you have the bad guys in power, and then the good guys win.
Yeah, I mean,
like there are easy solutions for this.
And like it feels so weird. Part of the reason the sequel trilogy feels so off is that they start it all off with bad guys in power, and we just saw them lose in the last movie, which is just so weird. And with the prequels and the originals, you have like a 20-year gap, and a few characters from the prequels carry over to the original trilogy. They pass the torch, so to speak, to the new characters, the main characters of the original trilogy. And then you would have to do something like that for the sequels. And that's not what happened. They decided to focus each movie on an OT character. Except, well, I guess even 9 focuses on Palpatine in a way. Even though, weirdly enough, he's in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Why would you bring Palpatine back and have him only in 2 scenes?
He has nothing to do.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, like he's just like a shoo-in like villain. Like that's what they use him as.
I think we can say as an overall, like this commentary on the film was going to be, overall, I think everything is going to tie back to just how disrespectful, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, this third trilogy is to the legacy of George Lucas.
Absolutely.
But also just in like the structural things, like we're saying, like, you know, how he had this kind of flow to his films, the first 6, you know, with good guys in power, bad guys in power. It even disrupts that. Like the very basic structural parts of his legacy are totally thrown out the window.
And then just... So yeah, it's disrespectful, and it's not even good as a result of it. Like, it doesn't even make something good while disrespecting the originals. It's just bad stuff that also disrespects everything that came before,
Exactly.
which is just worthless.
Yeah.
It was like it was like a bunch of like ignorant like filmmakers were like, oh, Star Wars, the original like Star Wars, like changed the way films are made. So we're gonna do the same thing here and just write our own like story. Like we're gonna rewrite history with these movies, and they didn't. That's not what these films were gonna be. I mean, maybe if like a brand new visionary of filmmaking was the one making these films, but I don't think that's
George Lucas.
But
2.0.
Yeah, and it's not JJ. I love JJ, but it's not you, bro.
I mean, like, no offense, because I don't know. I'm sure there are people who put a lot of hard work into these films.
Yeah, whatever.
But whatever. But even with that, on that note, I won't say your name.
We've said his name.
We said his name, Ian.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there was any ambition behind these. There's no vision. It's just we got to crank out these films, and we don't have any creative ambition with it. We don't have some new plan to rewrite how films are made in this current era. We're just going to copy our formulas that we've used with our other roller coaster type films like Marvel.
And then not even do that right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like, yeah. But anyway.
So...
My strawberry beverage. Hand me that, please.
Not sponsored. Could be sponsored by strawberrybeverages.com. Is that... No.
Someone look up that domain name and tell us if we can buy it.
strawberrybeverages.com.
Where to even go next?
Let's just get into the story.
Do we want to like get into like the scene by scene?
Yeah, let's
do that.
I think let's.
Our emotional response.
Is there anything else really bad in the crawl?
I don't think.
Rey, the last hope of the Jedi. Shove off.
Right.
Kylo Ren is raging in search of the Phantom Emperor.
Okay, and the first I think it might be like the first scene starts with that hecking stupid hilt stab thing that was in
Yeah,
the trailers
so,
that I was
okay.
oh, stop.
So, opening scene. Apparently, Mustafar, it has a forest now.
Okay. You know, the lava planet with forests.
It's like one of the most boring set pieces you could have opened your final film with. It's like black trees with
It
like
was really
some white
dull, yeah.
snow stuff. That's
It was-
ash,
yeah,
I guess.
Ash. It was really dull. There was like an overhead shot after he kills everybody where he's standing there and there's just like bodies everywhere. Like not even like he was going in like a straight path towards this pedestal thing, but there's bodies like 15 feet to his left and right. And it was a really dull shot. It's just like, oh, there's trees and ash, I guess.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
I remember thinking in the movie, I was like, that's a really boring shot.
really boring, and it's weird
I
because
don't know why. The other shots were fine, but that shot was boring.
And I feel like JJ normally knows how to hook his audience with an excitement. That's kind of his style. He hooks an audience, takes them somewhere, then hooks them again, and takes
He's
them
really
someplace
good
else.
with visuals, yeah.
Yeah, and it surprises me. Like, you could have done so much there. You could have had Vader's castle. Also,
Yeah,
something
why not Vader's castle? If you're
like-
gonna do it on Mustafar, because he's going after Vader's Wayfinder.
Yeah,
Put
what?
it in Vader's
Put it-
castle.
That would have been heckin' dope.
That would have actually been really interesting.
Kylo's got this connection to Vader, too, so
Would have
why
been
not?
something which has been dropped since the first movie. Just never mentioned ever again. This movie
It shows up with the
brings
busted
it back
helmet.
with the helmet, but
As a plot
he's
device.
not like, he doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
I love to, this is jumping forward obviously, but like they break the pedestal in their crazy teleport fight and then the helmet drops and it's just like, oh, you're in my room. And then it just moves on. Like,
Yeah.
he's not like, wait a second. He's just like, oh, that's where you are. It's like,
And like,
I'ma get
but,
you.
like, also, he was keeping the Wayfinder in his room, and Ray had been holding it.
Ray had been holding it the entire
So it's like,
fight. Okay.
You couldn't deduce
We'll get to
that.
that.
Let's
last 2 minutes?
make fun of that when we get there.
Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, he's killing people in this forest for some reason. We don't know why they're fighting him or why he's fighting them. Apparently, for some reason, in the middle of this forest, there is a pedestal that contains Vader's Wayfinder, which, by the way, is a Sith holocron. They just call it a Wayfinder in this movie for some reason. That's not what holocrons do. They don't like lead you to places.
I mean, maybe you could have like a map or a
Like
location.
theoretically they could, but I don't think they've ever done that before. And you can't plug it into your ship. In the next scene, it's got a USB port in it. He just plugs it in and flies away. And
That's just not interesting.
the way a holocron works in Star Wars is you need the Force to open it. Only a Force user can access it. Also, they're really tough and strong. He just kind of crushes it in his fist in a scene towards the end. He's like,
And I mean,
oh, that's a holocron.
in Force
But-
Awakens, we saw
okay.
the map to Luke Skywalker. So why don't they could have easily done something like that where it opens up and there's like an image of where the Sith planet is.
That could have been something.
Yeah.
Or just don't make it a holocron.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe it's not a holocron. Sure as heck looked like one.
Yeah,
So here we go again with the disrespect. I don't think it's deliberate, but it really, undermines all this beautiful world building they had done for them
Yeah.
and just makes it lame. It's like with Solo. It's like, what's your name? My name is Han. I don't have a last name. Okay, I will call you Solo.
You're alone then. Well, Solo.
It's stuff like that.
You weren't supposed to reference the fact that the smuggler whose last name is Solo is you weren't supposed to. That connection is purely like either coincidental or for the audience. It's not supposed to be like an in-universe reference thing.
Yeah.
Screw you.
So just little things like that. It doesn't feel like a deliberate attack, but ultimately, it is a disrespectful.
Yeah. So then he stabs one of these Mustafarans with the crossguard of his saber for some reason, and because it's because it's Disney.
I mean, like, he's just
So,
like finessing or whatever.
Like JJ wanted a shot of him doing this great big swing and slicing a guy clean in half, and Disney's like, no, we can't have any limbs come off in our film. So he just instead stabs him with the cross guard and pins him to the ground with it.
Yeah, it won't poke through him.
And it's like, okay.
Not too graphic.
There's this weird bit, if I remember it, where he slides backwards too and does a little...
Yeah, he like moonwalks into a guy behind him to stab him. What's with that?
Overall, a very weird, underwhelming opening.
They had really bad choreography in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to that, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a really, really bizarre opening scene.
Mm-hmm. So Kylo Ren takes the Wayfinder, plugs it in his USB port, and then all of a sudden...
He picks it up. And it zooms into the holocron. And as it's zooming in, it's cross-fading into the next shot of him flying through space. That's how, like, determined this movie is to move.
Right.
To just get to the next scene.
The
Before the
pacing is a
shot even
monster.
finishes, they're cross-fading into him flying there.
And then he's there.
And then he flies through this weird space nebula jello.
Yeah.
It's really something. Really something.
That looked like... I was confused what it was. My first thought was never nebula. I didn't think that at any point through the movie until I got out of it. I was just like, I guess that was supposed to be a nebula. But, like, it looks like an actual, like solid superstructure. Like, there's these, like, stalactites and stalagmites in it that look like stone. It looks like red crystal or something.
Yeah.
Which was really weird, because it's like, it's just this cloud floating in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and why you gotta go through
and
that?
And just like, it's a thing that you have to go through to get to this planet.
And it's like, it's this little cloud in front of it, like on the way to Exegol, just like fly around it.
Yeah.
Right. You can fly to the left or the right or above or below.
Can't fly around it.
This
gotta fly through.
This is a writer's cheap trick to say this planet is hard to get to.
But like, it would have been so easy to just have the entire planet shrouded in that. Like, it wouldn't even be difficult
but then
it's like
to have it surrounded by this nebula.
But then you can't have the finale that they wanted. Where, like, they're in the sky and stuff.
Well, like, you could, if you don't want it to be in the planet too, which I think theoretically that could make an interesting visual.
Yeah.
But if you could just have literally the planet be in a clearing in the middle of this spherical nebula.
And then,
completely
like,
surrounded on all sides.
And, like, the finale would, like, have the top would be more interesting than what it was, like gray or something with lightning.
Yeah, it's just like a gray.
But having it like a red nebula,
really boring planet.
That'd have been cool.
Really boring planet.
A thought just came to me. How did Kylo know he needs to go find a Wayfinder?
No, we don't know.
And why does he go by himself?
Oh, because he's a solo.
Was he alone or?
He ultimately goes by himself to
I recall there being stormtroopers in the trailer for that sequence, but I don't remember seeing stormtroopers in that scene. So did they just cut them out?
Quite possibly.
Or was he just... Did we just miss
No,
them?
I think they might have been there. They just weren't there for the shot when he's standing surrounded by bodies.
I thought so too, yeah.
He
but they were there
killed
earlier.
them too, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, we've lingered too long.
Oh man, he's just so angry and cool that he just kills his own men
He
too.
rages, you know.
So yeah, rages in search of Palpatine. So
he shows up
So
here.
he goes straight through Nebula Jericho instead of going around it, and then he lands on the planet just like boom, 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 and then he's suddenly inside this weird parabola.
Yeah.
The rhombus of terror,
Core of the
parabola
void.
of mystery.
Was it in the movie that I was like, Lucas, this is in Dishonored, this is the core of the void. This is that, like,
oh yeah.
This visually is the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's pretty, yeah.
It's just a really boring gray block.
Yeah, it's
it's a great.
This is your menacing, origin of the Sith temple thing, and it's a big gray block.
What even is it? It's just this giant. Yeah, what is it? It's just there.
I mean,
they're never in it.
I mean,
No,
like
they go below it, I
They
think.
go below it, into the planet below. They never go into it. What is this thing?
I mean, like I'm like the only other time
And it's like floating.
the only time I've seen this
Yeah.
thing work is like Rick and Morty, but they had a bunch of Morty strapped to it in that part, and that was funny. Like this is not funny. There were no like little
It's
dude,
ironically
a bunch of little
hilarious.
emperors strapped to the thing.
He's got clones, I mean.
He's got clones.
Apparently that's once again.
Oh boy.
Apparently that's how he survived.
Okay, no, hold on.
Death Star.
We'll get there.
Maybe.
I mean, that we're in the scene basically.
Yeah, we gotta
Well,
keep it
no,
rolling.
he hasn't said that yet.
What?
So, okay, first off, yeah, origin of the Sith.
No, but they're
So, do they actually say in this movie, this is the planet where the Sith came from?
No.
No, they just say it's a
That's-
Sith planet. It's
okay.
kind of general knowledge somehow that this is a Sith planet. Oh yeah, Exegol. Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
That's the Sith planet.
I think Rey, to be fair to the movie, Rey, like, reads in her
She has,
in
like,
the
those
Jedi
books.
texts.
The
from
sacred
Luke.
Jedi text.
I hate that line. Like, reads that it's a Sith planet, and then everybody else refers to it as that.
Okay.
Because it better not be the origin of the Sith, because the origin of the Sith, freaking Korriban, thank you very much, from the Old Republic games. And it's a desert, thank you very much. Okay. So, goes underground, and it's just so fast. It's just moving at such a bizarre pace.
And here's the weird thing that threw me off, because a couple days before this, they released this scene.
This scene.
And I was like, oh, it's cut really weirdly, but you know, it's supposed to be like a trailer. And then the movie, I was sitting there watching the movie, and I was like, it's
oh wait,
exactly
it's
the
literally
same.
the same clip.
And it's like, why is this so early on? It's just right there.
So
Oh, there's Palpatine.
yeah, then he just walks in and he's like, "My boy, I have been waiting so long." And it's like, what?
In the subtitles, it's going to be spelled B-O-I.
Yeah.
My boy!
And my boy.
Hello, my boy.
And then Kylo's like, I'll kill you.
And then
And he's like, no. I'm a grandpa.
I have died before. I think is a line he said.
and then he's like,
Yeah.
oh,
And
so
Kylo's like, oh, well, I
I-
guess that means I won't kill you then.
someone's already done my job.
And then we get a passing shot of some pickled Snokes in a jar. And then he just randomly says, I created Snoke. And we will never, ever mention that ever again for the entire film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's really important.
Yeah, for your first two films, he's like the main antagonist. Like,
Before we reveal the Palpatine's back, he was the only thing connecting this dumb trilogy to the OT, because he was the reason, he was the explicit stated reason why everything is now different, why Kylo went to the dark side, and why the First Order exists, and those are the two reasons that everything from the original trilogy didn't pan out the way it should have. Because Snoke, out of nowhere, turns Kylo and creates the First Order. He is the reason the status quo is different. That is very important. We have to know what his deal is, where he came from, how he was allowed to rise up and do all this. But no, Palpatine just made him somehow. Is he a clone of an existing Darkseid user, or did he, like, grow him in a vat? If he grew him in a vat, why is he scarred?
Maybe that's why he didn't know how to do it. He was like,
And
see,
why are all
we'll
the
throw
clone
some cis
scars?
chemicals together.
Scars
Here's
aren't
a-
stored in your DNA. Like,
did all the clones have
is this
scars?
just is this just how this race looks? Like, what?
kind of weird.
I mean,
You know,
What's the deal with this?
Maybe it's like he's like, I'm trying to make a convincing forgery of like a villain. So like, I'm gonna put a scar because that looks spooky.
Sure,
Ooh,
sure.
You know, okay. This explains why. So we know in Force Awakens and Last Jedi, Snoke is like completely different characters. So that's why maybe the
They're
clones,
two different clones.
because you know, different directing,
Makes it-
artistic
yeah.
visions is what you want for a cohesive trilogy.
They
But
are like completely different in the two. They
yeah,
even look
so there's
completely
like
different.
Palpatine's like, okay, we'll make this one a little bit different and swap them out and see how this one works. And Kylo's like, why do you want me to kill my mask now? He's like, do it. I'm a different clone. Get over it.
we've been friends, Snoke, for 10 years. Why?
I don't know anything.
I don't know
anything
anything
about
about
that.
I'm
What are
pretty
you
sure
talking
you've
about?
encouraged me to like worship this thing. Like,
Hey, I'm a new clone. I don't know. Palpy's just like got an earpiece in him. He's like, no. Your other clone, he said this. You have to say it like this. Like, oh, okay.
He's wearing a Bluetooth. And like, so what? Does Snoke have actually no power, and it's just like this puppet that was being mind controlled the whole time? Like literally just like a soulless flesh host for Palpatine's
if so, that's new.
force mind soul projecting into him, and is all the insane force powers that Snoke does
Just Palpy.
just Palpy, or is Snoke actually a super powerful force user that he either created or cloned? Because if it's that one, make more of those.
I'd be scared
Yeah,
if
like,
I were Palpatine.
Make a
The
bunch.
ship is a bad idea. You could do a super soldier. Like that's a plot thing in like back in the Clone Wars. They're like, we need to make like they're trying to make like a force using super soldier. And apparently if that's what Snoke is, Palpy can make force using super
Yeah,
soldiers.
so honestly, I do think JJ was trying to imply that Snoke was his own person, just created by Palpatine. I don't think he's trying to imply Palpatine was like mind controlling him,
Well,
which I think
if
is a
so-
mistake. I think Palpatine should have been mind controlling him,
Yeah.
even though like that too is also crazy powerful. It's less universe breaking than being able to make Snoke clones.
Yeah, right.
Because we have an entire game series about how you can't clone Force users. It's called The Force Unleashed.
Yes.
An entire huge plot point of those games is that it's impossible to clone Force users, which solves a large problem in this Star Wars universe of why doesn't everybody just clone Jedi?
yeah.
Right. And also, Snoke can't be a Sith Lord because, we have the established Order of Two, and clearly Palpatine is trying to, because he's using Snoke to train Kylo as his
Yeah.
apprentice, but you can't have a middleman Sith Lord. He can't be a Sith Lord because Palpatine's still alive.
Yeah, so you would have to be a
Unless we want to
puppet.
say the rule of two is BS, which, I mean, a lot of people aren't a fan of that.
And
thing.
to be fair, I don't think Palpatine has ever followed it very much.
No.
Especially because, like, in the old canon, he kind of saw himself as the culmination of the Rule of Two. The whole point of it was kind of like this bracket-style system where a Sith Master gets a Sith apprentice, and then that apprentice kills his master and becomes more powerful than his master, chooses a new apprentice, his apprentice kills him, becomes more powerful, and then you just culminate in the ultimate Sith, and he thought he was the ultimate Sith.
But then he, I mean, like,
And then the Rule of Two would be
if he's-
discarded.
I mean, then he could have. I think. Well, I guess he would. I think he was using the Rule of Two. He was changing it. So you have the ultimate Sith Lord, and he has an apprentice. The apprentice tries to rebel, but you go stronger from that conflict. So the one on top gets stronger by people trying to fight him. So he makes an opponent that will come and fight him and make him stronger. I think that I'm
training
like,
session.
if we're trying to rationalize this whacked system.
That's why we never see the Snoke clones again, because he killed them all to get, more beefed up.
Just while everyone is off, like, searching for a Sith dagger, he's like pit fighting some Snoke clones.
He's 1v1ing some snow clones.
He's got that weird electric belt thing from The Mandalorian. I don't want to spoil it, but there's this weird little sparring scene where they got this electric thing attached
I
to their
thought
crotches.
that was fine, to be honest.
fine.
I mean, it was a cool in-world.
It looked
thing,
a little
but
awkward to me.
Thought it was okay.
It looked
didn't really
looked
bug
pretty
me.
awkward.
He's just doing that, just sparring. Anyway, we got a lot to cover. We're barely into this
Okay,
monster.
so the guy was like, "I thought you died" or something, and then he's like, "How are you back?" And then Palpatine's just like, "The dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural," and it's like, no, but really though, like,
And then on top of that, we get an awkward office zoom in, it cuts to an extreme close up of his face.
yeah.
And it's like done.
I'm like,
oh, he's so wispy and dead looking.
Serious.
He's all.
His makeup looked awful.
They did not do the same makeup. It looks like they just powdered his face. They just powdered Ian McDermott's face, so he was
he's got some wrinkles already.
pale white.
Yeah.
and then they just glazed over his eyes. It's like, no,
No.
Palpatine has there's an entire Robot Chicken bit about how he looks like a scrotum. I mean, come on, like.
Come on, like, stick to it, boys.
He's a walnut. Like
he got blown up. See, he fell into a bottomless pit, blew up there, and then the bottomless pit was part of a Death Star that blew up this too. So, what happens when you're in an exploding Death Star that then crashes onto a planet too, enters an atmosphere?
Yeah, like, how much worse would he look?
After the wreckage blows up, it crashes into a planet. Goes through the atmosphere and all that.
Dude, animatronic Palpatine.
What happens is your eyes glaze over. That's what happens.
So he just went blind from all that.
Yeah.
I mean, which makes sense.
We can see with the Force,
So, yeah, and then at one point he says, "I have died before." What? So I assume Kylo's like, "I'll kill you," and he's like, "I've died before." So I assume we're supposed to take from that he did in fact die at the end of Return of the Jedi. He just came back somehow.
How? We don't know. Like, what kind of, like, ability besides, like, Jesus Christ, like, has, like, just, like, will actually die and then be like, I'm back now. I was taking a coffee break from life.
It's really lazy, but the reason they use the line from, like, his talk about, he has with Anakin about Darth Plagueis is it's probably referencing that because it's like, well, he used the Force to create life, and he brought himself back to life, because we learn later on that he is all the Sith, so he's got Darth Plagueis. Maybe he's got Darth Plagueis in, like, his...
all the Sith.
So instead of, like, organs, he's got little Sith Lords in there, so, like, Darth Maul's, like, his little heart. He's the most emotional one. Count Dooku's, like, the intestines. Just chilling. So he's got all this Sith power, so maybe he can... And we know that, wasn't he able to, like, clone himself after he died in the original expanded universe?
Yeah, so...
He came out like this goop and he had, like, lightsaber fingers.
What?
Didn't he have lightsaber fingers? Someone had lightsaber fingers.
Different Sith.
That was, like... I think that was a comic book or novel where, like, he has a son who's, like... He raised as, like, an assassin and covered in armor that has lightsabers protruding off of every point. It's really dumb. But, like, so when Disney canned the old EU, everybody was like, "Oh, great idea, guys. The EU was terrible. It was really bad."
You know what they did?
Like,
they brought Palpatine
remember
back.
Dark Empire? That was a terrible comic book arc. What happens in Dark Empire is Palpatine comes back. And he siphons off power, I believe, from Luke and rejuvenates into a younger version of himself. Which
oh boy,
is what happens in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And the other thing everybody's complained about the old EU having was super weapons.
Well, you got him here.
So
cut to a shot of an army of Star Destroyers coming out of a planet. Who builds them underground?
Why did they build them underground?
Caked in the rock, so there's no big open spaces where they have equipment to build these things.
It's
They're just surrounded by rock.
He legit conjures them out of rock.
And this doesn't destroy the planet
and
either, mind
he's
you.
lifting them up. He's using the Force to lift them up.
Oops, I just destroyed my Sith homeworld.
That's insane.
Maybe.
And what are they on the other side of the planet too? Is he doing this, but actually is he lifting his hands up, but actually
no, Lucas, it's
forcing down to lift them up from the other side of the planet?
He turned on inverted controls for that one.
Because
scene.
in the final, nowhere in the rest of the movie is there any scarring on the planet's surface from this. There should be 1,000 little Death Star shaped cookie cutter holes in the landscape.
Maybe Palpatine is the planet.
It's like Guardians 2.
Yeah. And also, why is he doing that? Kylo can't see it. Why does he care?
He just does this, and there's a lot of rumbling, and then Kylo's like,
"What are you doing?
What was that?"
I guess I'm gonna do what you say now, because
crap, I forgot to turn on the monitor so you can see this.
Gotta open the sunroof. Wait 1 sec.
Why does he have a sunroof?
He could use a little tan. He's a little pasty.
Okay, fair enough.
His doctor ordered it, but he never actually uses it.
Yeah, one of his little Sith
it's
doctors.
actually gonna come in handy.
Also, there's lightning underground in this planet.
Yeah, you know that's pretty.
He has an underground lab temple thing, and there's lightning shooting from the ceiling.
Oh yeah, no, that's in Journey of the Center of the Earth, the 2009 version. So it's canon to the universe.
And he when he dies, spoilers.
Sorry, my bad.
When he dies at the end, the lightning stops.
So he is the planet.
The storm stops across the entire. So he is the planet.
What is it called? Xenagol, right?
Exegol.
Exegol. Yeah, no, Exegol equals
Xenagol.
Palpatine. I don't know, dude. It's a dumb name. It's a dumb name.
So then, what's the next scene?
Next scene we go back to the.
I think it's Ray training, right?
Ray training. No, they're flying towards the iceberg.
Oh, right. So
Poe and the boys.
yeah, then it cuts to this weird iceberg in space, and the Falcon flies towards it, and lands, and everything's fine. Then suddenly,
Right.
a horde of TIE fighters is following them. Where do they come from?
Where'd you come
Where'd
from?
they-
Where'd you go?
Where'd you come from,
Got
TIE fighter
Nigel?
pilot? So what? Were they being chased? Because they just swoop in. Because I remember they swooped in for like this really dangerous landing, and I was really confused
Yeah.
about the way they landed. I was like,
They were just being chased.
land, guys.
They're
just
being
normal.
Yeah, they were being chased.
But like none of them are they're playing a game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. They're playing that
They want
Right.
a cheap
that game with
nostalgia
Chewie.
and holiday. Okay, I want to say this film still manages to disrespect original characters. Chewbacca is made out to be a cheater and a useless tag-along who just is good for nothing except getting captured.
I don't think the film is actually saying he's a cheater.
I don't know.
Because
guess it was more of a
they're
joke.
like, you're a cheater, aren't you? And then they're like, no, sorry, Chewie, we're kidding. And then Chewie walks away, and then they're like, he's a cheater, and then kind of walk away.
But I'm like,
I don't
that's where
think
you end
I
it.
don't think that's a. I don't think it's fair to say the movie is calling him a cheater. I think the characters
I'm a
are
butthurt
calling him a
fanboy.
cheater. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're playing a game. They're calm, except they do this crazy landing. Then they open the hatch, and Boolio is his name, by the way. Boolio, the horny boy from the Millennium Falcon Lego set, looks down and he tosses this tube in, this crazy big tube, and they hook it up to R2, and they're like, it's downloading, give us a bit. And they're like, so what have you got for us? And he's like, I think he says a message from Emperor Palpatine or something.
Which was a big broadcast apparently in Fortnite.
Well, no, so this is a second message from Emperor Palpatine.
Okay.
The first broadcast that the entire universe heard, that was in Fortnite and not in the movie, said a completely different thing. This one is actually going to be said in the movie, and it's downloading into R2, and it's like taking a while.
By the way, this is the one scene where R2 gets to do anything. One of the two scenes.
Yeah, he's not in the rest of the movie, basically. Nope. He fixes 3PO, and that's it.
Yep.
And then they're like, how can we repay you? And he's like, win the war! And then just walks away. It's like, and the funny thing is, like, he didn't give them information that could help them win the war. Like, you would say they're like, oh man, how can we repay you, in parentheses, for this, like, turn of the tide information you have given us. And then the guy would say, for that, win the war for me. Except the information he gives them, as is revealed in a later scene, is just Palpatine's coming.
He's got a lot of Star Destroyers.
He has a lot of Star Destroyers, and he's coming in 16 hours. That was the message.
Which
That took 30 seconds to upload into R2. When he could have just opened the hatch and been like, hey guys, Palpatine's coming in 16 hours. He's got a ton of Star Destroyers. Win the war.
And then he would have had time to not get beheaded.
Yeah, he gets beheaded somehow. We don't even know how. Kylo just walks into the First Order's board of directors.
And so we can have a dismembered head, but not see a random
Because it's an alien, I guess.
No, but like Kylo was killing aliens, so
This film is
it's because
strangely...
we don't see it happen.
It might be the the vision of the one writer. What's his name?
Chris Terrio?
Yeah. It feels like some of the stuff in this film is more violent. Like when the jet troopers like crash and stuff, it feels like overly violent, like a different type of violence I'm used to seeing in these films. Personally. Or even like at the end when Pride gets blown up on his bridge, he's like staying on his pride flag, and he gets...
That was really funny when he just gets blasted out of the window by that explosion, and his body goes flying for a second before being engulfed in flames. I was like, what? I think we both laughed, didn't we, Ian?
You guys laughed.
Both of us sitting there, we were just like, it's just like, he like ragdolls for a second before he's gone. It's like, okay.
It's like weird violence for a Star Wars film.
Yeah, it does feel very off.
Yeah.
And then Poe sitting at the cockpit of the Falcon. I don't know why. I guess, I mean, no. I was going to say Chewie should be flying it, but no, he's always been the co-pilot. I think that's actually fine. Poe is supposed to be a great pilot. That's, in fact, his defining character trait, is that he's really good at flying things.
Yep.
At least it was until we find out he's a drug dealer.
So he's sitting in the pilot seat, and then he like suddenly looks to his left, and he's like, as a bunch of TIE fighters are flying in, and it's like, so you didn't know you were being followed? Where did these come from? Did they like follow you through hyperspace? Because if they did, you should have known that. Because as we see in a little bit, you take the steps to... Oh, it's so hard to break down this movie. Okay, so
we gotta keep this.
We're gonna keep moving. Okay,
yeah,
we're 2 scenes in.
So the TIE fighters know that this random Bolio guy has the Emperor's info, and the TIE fighters now know as well that Kylo Ren is in league with the boy, and so they're like, we gotta stop these guys from getting this info. When if they know what the info is, they realize that Palpatine is totally in power anyway. So like, why does anyone care? He's told everyone that he's coming back anyway.
Yeah, why are they chasing them? What does it matter?
Because
I guess they hate that ship. I guess that's why. They want to blow up the Falcon, I guess. Which is fair.
Sure, yeah.
It's a really good ship.
It's done nothing to the First Order, though. How do they know what it is?
That's true. It hasn't really done anything to the First Order. So then Poe starts flying away from them through the weird tunnels of this icy asteroid. And, like, he sucks at it. He like slams into a wall, and he's like,
why
"Oh,
is he so bad
sorry."
at
And
it?
Chewie's like, "Bruh," and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm not Rey." And I'm like, "Jesus, give us a break." You're really saying right now that Rey is better at flying than
this,
Poe?
like, ace pilot, like.
Let me remind you, The Force Awakens, when on what's it called, Takodana, Maz's castle, when that gets assaulted, there's a like full 30-second shot just tracking his ship as it blows up like 30 guys.
He gets like an ESPN clip of like in the movie.
He is a god at piloting. We've never seen anyone better than him.
And here he is. He sucks now.
He just slams it into the wall. Well, I'm not Rey. It's like, wow. Can she be less good, please?
Yeah, Blizzard, please nerf.
Blizzard, please nerf Rey.
Yeah.
So, and then he's like, all right, Finn, we're gonna boulder them. I don't know why that's the phrase. I guess it's like shooting boulders from the ceiling is the idea, but like, it's just a weird...
little forced line of dialogue to say, these two have code names for their attack.
Yeah, that's what it's doing when it's just unearned because they've never been in the same room together, basically. We've never seen them going on adventures together. They've been alone, separated.
Make a TV show about that first, maybe. Please and thank you.
So,
Actually, please do.
Yeah,
we don't care.
and then Finn knows what that means, so he shoots this weird scaffolding thing, and
It's like a beam.
falls and perfectly blows up a few ties. And then Poe's like, how thick do you think that ice is? And before anyone can respond,
Before you can process what he said.
he just punches it. and then they're at light speed. They're just suddenly in hyperspace, and all the ties follow them.
Through hyperspace.
So I want to point out, so this next scene is JJ attempting to fix what Ryan did by introducing the hyperspace trackers.
Which ships can have.
Because before, you had to attach a device to a ship to track it through hyperspace. Now you can just do it if you have a tracker on your ship, which is crazy. And so now he has to deal with the idea that this technology exists, so the heroes have to do something new to be able to escape through hyperspace. Before, you could escape through hyperspace.
He literally could have just said that this technology is only available on, like, massive ships.
Well, yeah, so the thing is, in Last Jedi, it was just on Star Destroyers. Now each individual TIE fighter has them. Because each TIE fighter follows them through.
And all of them have this, what is it called? Like space jumping or whatever? What's like this?
So there's this concept introduced now called lightspeed skipping to deal with the fact that people can be tracked. So you basically lightspeed over and over and over, and then people eventually lose track of you because you're doing it so much. Which is, like,
TIE fighters have never been
theoretically okay.
In terms of damage control, that's fine. And it does establish that it's risky, and they do almost die, but...
Well, the thing is, like, so you're jumping to random points, I think. That's the best I can... That's what I assume. Because they just punch, 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 punch. Unless they're going to, like, preset locations, in which case, why did they choose the locations they chose?
I think it's supposed to be totally
if you're picking a random point in space, what extreme misfortune to end up in a dangerous planet 3 out of 3 jumps in all of the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't all dangerous, were they?
Yeah. In the first one, they were like these like really tall spikes everywhere that they had to dodge and weave through, and then they jump again, and again, they're breaking canon by jumping out of gravity wells each time. They jump into a planet's gravity well and then out of it, which is impossible. That's why there are Star Destroyers with gravity wells built into them that keep you from escaping during a space fight. Like, that's a technology the Empire had. But nope. Disney doesn't care about that.
Nope.
So they jump into a planet that has spikes everywhere, dodge and weave, jump away, jump into a new planet, and there's like, I think it was like a bunch of really tall buildings over a lake. Because like there was a reflection on the bottom, and when I saw it, I was like, "What am I looking at?" And then boom, new planet.
Yeah,
and
it was really weird.
Then there's like this big tentacle monster, because every single Disney Star Wars movie has a tentacle monster for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why. And then Poe says, "Last jump, maybe forever." I don't know why he says that.
Why you say that?
And then they jump. And all the TIE fighters are gone, and then they're fine.
It's not the last jump, is it?
No. I don't know why he says that. I guess the assumption is like, well, if we do this jump, that would be the end of our light speed skipping thing because we will have lost them. But it could also kill us because it's a light speed skip.
But
I guess
it just feels like a weird.
It's just clearly a line for drama.
Yep, it's a dialogue to build our excitement.
This whole thing just moves. It's just like, oh, we're planet, lightspeed, whoa!
Lightspeed skipping is like a good summary of this film and how fast it moves.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And then, and again, like, hyperspace takes time, guys.
Yeah,
hyperspace.
It's not instant.
Hyperspace takes time to travel through.
We see this in A New Hope when they're going to Alderaan.
Yeah.
They're just like chilling. Luke is training.
In everything, it always takes time. Rebels, there are so many episodes that open with the Ghost just in hyperspace, and they're just sitting in the cockpit chilling, talking, and then they come out of it and they're at the place. Like a good 3 minutes, and we can assume they've been in hyperspace for a while too. Mm-hmm. But no, they just hyperspace to 3 different planets in a row, randomly jumping instantly. And I don't think we're supposed to assume that it's a montage of where we're cutting out hyperspace travel time.
Built like a montage.
No, it's built like an
zoom,
action
zoom.
scene.
Also, don't forget the random slug dude who's in there. Remember him? Some of the Disney
forgot.
has some of the worst Star Wars creature design I have ever seen.
Their aliens
Yeah.
Suck.
He's like a brown slug thing, and he can like zap the Falcon to like fix stuff.
They're all tan or orange ball sacks.
Pretty much.
They suck.
Yeah.
They're so bad. Can you name a sequel alien that has a skin color other than green, brown, orange, or tan?
Mm. 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Still like nothing.
Yeah, so his name is Claude, by the way.
Okay,
I believe
oh,
they
yeah,
say
you know,
in
it's
the
a
movie
Star Wars
once.
name.
Claude.
Gosh.
I have an uncle named Claude.
Was he your Democratic uncle
No.
or Republican?
No.
Dude, the time I heard the name Claude was best Christmas pageant ever, and that show was written in like the 80s.
So
Claude is like the name of the stupid Pac-Man ghost.
there's it's just
Inky, Blinky, Pinky,
and
and
Claude.
Claude. That's what you name an idiot. And he's on the Falcon.
He did look pretty stupid.
It's not R2 fixing stuff. It's Claude.
Claude.
And there's just this random shot. He hasn't been established throughout the whole thing, and then suddenly during this sequence, he just flies past the camera and goes
He's like,
"Whoa!"
and then they're skipping.
And then later they're like, Claude, fix that panel or something. And he's like, "Brr," and then like zaps it with his antennae. He doesn't have any arms. This guy's got no arms.
Slug.
And he's a technician?
Some
Are
of
you
the worst
kidding
creature
me?
design I've ever seen.
What is this thing?
9-year-old me made better.
He's a penis with antennae. Like, what is this? And he's gone for the rest of the movie.
No, he doesn't jump in.
Until the very end in the celebration sequence.
Oh, sure.
I think Poe like goes and hugs him.
Yeah.
And
It makes me
Jackson-
think he was actually supposed to have a role in this movie for some reason, and they cut it. It feels like he was supposed, but
He
like
was a real force
you
dyad.
could have also cut those two shots,
Yeah.
and the movie would be better for it.
That'd have been nice.
I think Claude and Salacious B. Crumb are a force dyad.
Salacious, a Star Wars story.
do your laugh. Do your laugh.
What do you think the B stands for? Salacious B crumb.
I think it's just B.
It's just a B.
I don't think it's an actual, yeah.
it's for finesse.
I think it stands for bitchin'. Salacious bitchin' crumb.
I was gonna say biatch.
Our hero. He should have showed up in like Force Lightning.
Dude, force antennaing. Like, Palpy back.
Salacious Crumb has been the real villain for all the stories.
I am the Sith.
Like you have, you know how Palpy is on like this like meta machine hook, like
Yeah.
holding him up this whole time, like this
extends
claw.
into
He is.
So behind that, Salacious B. Crumb is like
He's
got a remote control.
Behind that, in the control seat, there's Jar Jar controlling everything, but then like behind Jar
He's
Jar
ratatouilleing
is
Jar Jar.
Salacious B. Crumb with like strings on his hands controlling Jar Jar.
Yes.
Okay, so
Should have Boss Nass show up and pull out a lightsaber.
then I think it cuts to Rey training.
She's lifting the boulders, surrounded by boulders, which was originally supposed to be Luke's thing at the end of Force Awakens.
Yeah, he was.
Ryan Johnson did not like that.
But I think it's funny. It's like JJ wanted that image back, so he used it again.
He's a villain.
Like you can tell what went through his head. He's like, I really want to have someone floating in the middle of some boulders.
And we have a chucked in line about her trying to communicate with the Jedi, and this is the only time she ever tries to do this in the whole trilogy.
And it's not
except
explained.
at the
You
end.
feel like the general rule of setup and payoff is you establish the thing, you remind the audience, and then you pay it off.
We're never reminded of this.
We're never reminded of this until the very end when it pays off.
Right. And so
And boy, it's a bad payoff.
it's a really bad payoff. And this is the only time they ever establish her wanting to do this.
Yeah, and it's also like it's a vaguely interesting idea to try to commune with the ghosts of past Jedi.
Yoda was doing it in Revenge of the Sith.
But like,
Yeah.
jeez,
So random.
do it. Do something with it. They're just starting it.
And then we have Leia. She shows up, and I do respect the decision to not use CGI, but just let her die. I feel like this was almost just as disrespectful.
It felt so weird to see her corpse being puppeted, paraded around screen.
It was really weird. And also, I feel like someone's talking to her, and they're using this footage where she's like looking off to the left or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And I've seen shots where like they used like some of the same shots. They just pasted someone else's shoulder in.
Yep.
From Last Jedi.
Yep.
Like.
Well, and you can clearly tell they went through what footage they had, and were like, okay, how can we write this footage into the movie?
Well, write the other dialogue around.
So they have this extremely forced scene where, like, Snap Wexley, Greg Grunberg's character, J.J. Abrams' best friend, who was absent from Last Jedi, because obviously he's JJ's friend, and Rian Johnson didn't know he was even in Force Awakens, so his character just isn't in Last Jedi. But now he's back because JJ's making Rise of Skywalker. So he just shows up and he's like, what does he say? He says something like apparently pessimistic, like he says something like, it doesn't sound like things are working, or like it doesn't sound like we're gonna win this to Leia.
Oh, right.
And Rose is also there.
Be more positive.
And then they're like, be more optimistic. And he's like, okay, we can totally win this. And then they like both like sigh and walk away.
Like,
and
both
it's like, dear God, that was stilted.
Oh.
That was so forced. You like didn't need to use that footage.
You know, in the original
that belongs
trilogy.
in a C movie, not a B.
And
not an A,
why
a C.
why do we have these people in war being like, be more optimistic, man? Come on. Like,
yeah, like what is this like?
What?
Like
What?
In the original trilogy, we laughed because the characters were charming, not because we had a written joke in there. It's like, laugh at this.
Yeah.
Let's look through our knock-knock joke book. That's great, guys.
Yeah, no one in the original trilogy actually like cracks a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
if they do, it's like makes sense for the character.
Honestly, I don't think of any time any of them like tries to make someone else laugh.
Yeah.
It's what's funny is the way their personalities play off each other and clash.
Yeah, when Leia's like, would someone get this walking carpet out of my way?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Or when when Leia walks out of the cockpit and Han's like, think a princess like her and a guy like me, and then Luke's like, no.
It's funny.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
But like, they're not making jokes. Han does smile, but he's not smiling because Luke made a joke. He's smiling because he's like, hi, you stupid farm boy kid. It's like,
Yeah, like,
you're
right.
funny.
You're not a scoundrel like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You don't crack jokes in Star Wars.
Well, that's because they're using their tested and approved Marvel formula.
So, and then you also have this scene where, I think, what happens? They're like, for some reason, because they find footage from Force Awakens of a cut scene where Leia is talking about how BB-8 had the plans to Luke and is missing on Jakku. And someone's like, I think he's going to get captured. And she says, never underestimate a droid, and then walks off screen. So they found that, and they're like, okay, we have to come up with a reason for someone to underestimate a droid so she can say this, so we can have this footage in there.
Yeah.
And so they do. And it's just like, just stop. Just let her die.
in the movie before this, when you literally tried to kill her.
And when they do let her die in this film, it's...
I will say, the one thing that I disagree... There's so many people that I hear say, man, they should have killed off Leia when she got blown out of the bridge in Last Jedi. That would have been a great end for her character. I don't understand that.
Really?
What is wrong with you? Why did people think that would be a good end for Leia? just getting unceremoniously blasted out into the vacuum of space. Like, wow, that would have been awful.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think she should have died in that movie, and I mean, they made that decision, so I wanted it to end there.
I agree. She would have died. It would have been better if she had died in that movie, considering Carrie Fisher passed away. But I think that would have been a horrible place for it. And also, like, I think that would have been extremely disrespectful, not only to her character, but also to Carrie Fisher, because, like, especially if they had chosen to kill her off there after she passed away and they had filmed the rest of the movie, because it would be like, her last role you're deleting.
Right.
So I think it was fine that they did that. I just think this movie should have like opened with her funeral or something. Just have her pass away between movies. It would have been respectful to Carrie, but no.
And we could have left it open to our imaginations what her training ray would have been like. Because we have the limited footage here, we don't get to see her trainer, but apparently she is training.
Yeah, I mean,
and why is she training her? We
They
reveal later in the movie
themselves.
that so okay, first off, Ryan Johnson said when people are like, how did Leia fly through space? That's crazy. How did she survive in the vacuum of space? Did she get Jedi training? Which is a perfectly valid point to bring up. And then Ryan is like, no, she didn't train.
She just pulled this one out of
It's
her
like,
ass.
why did you say that, Ryan? You're hurting your movie. And then JJ's like, no, actually, she did train.
Okay, right. And we're gonna have
A weird
CG
flashback where we
with the
show
heckin'
that,
Swedish chick.
but then also explain that she got a vision that made her stop training. So she was in the midst of lightsaber training, which I can't imagine would be very far into your training.
No.
And then she decides to stop training. But now she's training Rey, the most powerful Force user we have ever seen. Okay, so Rey is training. She's hovering. Which, I didn't think this was a problem when I first saw it. But someone pointed... I listened to some people talking about this movie, and I was like, wait, that is a problem, isn't it? So, she's floating. She is flying, essentially. And then she just lets herself down. So... that is actually, like, revealing to us that Force users could fly if they wanted to. They could freaking fly through the air. They could pick themselves up with the Force. I don't think so. Not like this.
Did Luke fly in Empire? Did he float at all?
There was
I
a
don't
difference
think so,
between
no.
flying and floating.
Yes, I will agree
this
with
is
that.
more of a
But
meditative thing,
The
I feel
difference is, like, she could kumbaya in the middle of the air and then just float across, like,
You know, the Jedi Council...
an abyss.
The Jedi Council collectively, like, is presumably the most wise and powerful Jedi in the Republic.
Yeah.
Sat on
chairs. They were all sitting up there just floating. Don't look stupid.
That's funny.
I mean,
Hey!
I feel like chairs is like I can totally see like a power dynamic in like that team setting. It's like whoever like couldn't float as well as the others. It'd be like my floating my force dick's bigger than yours. Yeah, wrecked. I can float higher than you can. And then there's a power structure. So I think the chair was like a good like equalization, so that there was an open forum for them to make healthy team oriented decisions.
Okay, we should move on. So yeah, it just calls into question power levels and stuff like that. It's not necessarily like a huge problem, but it's just like, oh, now that I think about it, like...
I mean, we did see Leia fly through space, so...
Well, space.
The thing with
Space is a
that
little
is it's a
different.
vacuum, and she was like force pulling herself towards an object. I'm actually fine with that.
Yeah.
That's not what I take issue with in that scene. I take issue with her surviving the vacuum of space for like 10 minutes.
Because like no one's done that without like helmets on and stuff.
Yeah.
I believe Plo Koon did it in the Clone Wars at some point.
Plo Koon has like those like things.
Doesn't he have like a gas
He has a mask?
Yeah, he has a
on
mask
at all
on.
time?
Gotcha.
And he's like an alien too, so
Yeah.
you could conceivably see like, oh, he's got
He's got some
his
ability.
race
here.
is probably resilient to the vacuum of space or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Put that quick in the Wikipedia.
Yeah, and besides, even if that was a problem, even if that was a problem, it wouldn't mean that Last Jedi is not also a problem when that happens. sequence.
Right.
Okay, so then she's like, I can't talk to them. Nah. Can I please do physical training, Master Leia? And she's like, okay, Rey. And so then she does and starts sprinting and
She starts.
hitting stuff, running an obstacle course.
She
and
does the brave obstacle course.
I was gonna say the opening of Horizon Zero Dawn, where little Aloy is
yeah.
running through the treetops, shooting at stuff, and then it has that transition to older Aloy, where she does that somersault and comes up the other side
And-
20 years later.
And Arrow, like how many other montages?
Yeah, there's so many.
Hit runs.
During this sequence, though, I will say John Williams' score is pretty good. The only theme he's really developed for this sequel is Rey's theme sequel trilogy, and I think
Yes.
he's done a good job with that.
There's Kylo's theme, the Resistance theme, and Rey's theme. Those are like literally the only themes I can think of that I remember. I know Rose has a theme in Last Jedi, and there is a new theme in this movie that I don't remember hearing for the first time, but I remember, like, in the credits when it was playing, I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a good melody.
But besides that,
Hum it off the top of my head, but
yeah. But I think I remember the score being all right in this sequence.
sure.
Anyway, we get a glimpse of her anger and foreshadowing because she accidentally drops a tree on poor little cute toy selling BB-8.
So
She must be related to a Sith Lord. That's great foreshadowing, guys.
So somehow she's like having trouble with this droid, this like the floaty training droid.
Yeah.
She's having trouble for some reason. I don't know.
First time she's ever had a problem.
Her first struggle. Great job.
First struggle.
Pat yourself on the back, guys. You gave Rey a struggle. 9th movie. So she's having trouble. So then she like, what does she do? She throws her lightsaber or drops it?
Probably.
And then
She pulls out a staff.
she pulls out her staff, and that's what works. And she freaking impales the droid on a tree. And it's like, you need that. That's probably expensive. Like you were gonna use that in future to train more, probably.
No, Disney has a massive budget. We
Your-
can get a new one.
Your job
Yeah,
is
new training
the
droid.
point of the training isn't to destroy the droid. It's to reflect its blaster bolts.
See, we see that she's
She's so angry,
She's so
guys.
angry.
OMG.
All right,
but we're
so-
never gonna deal with that.
So then, I don't remember what happens. Somehow she goes
She-
back. She goes back, right? And then
Throws her lightsaber and it falls on BB-8. And it's like, oh no, he lost a panel on his side. And then
we cut
the
back to the
Falcon,
camp.
Oh, right,
Falcon
yeah.
shows up.
That's why
Falcon shows
Poe's
up,
like, "You're
and it's
broken."
super on fire for some reason, which, like, throughout that whole sequence where it's light speed skipping, it's fine.
Mhm.
The Falcon does not get hurt by that sequence.
Also, the vacuum of space puts out fires.
Yeah, it shouldn't be on fire. It shouldn't be on. I guess.
Well,
I
we
guess
can't-
maybe coming into the planet, it got set on fire.
But like you didn't.
But why is it on fire? And then it lands, and Rey's like, "What did you do to the Falcon?" And he's like, "Light speed skipping, you know." And she's like, "You can't light speed skip. There's a compressor on, or the compressor is gone, or something." And call back to Force Awakens when she fixes the Falcon in a way Han couldn't. Where they're both sitting in the cockpit wondering what to do, and she like pulls a chip out of the mainframe and is like, "I bypassed the compressor." And then Han is like, "You what?" And he's just like has this bewildered look. He's like, "Is that important?"
What's a compressor?
And
Normally that's used
Apparently-
for audio.
apparently that apparently that never got put back in the Falcon, or it did, and that's the problem or something. For whatever reason, the compressor being there or not being there is the reason you can't or shouldn't light speed skip. I don't know why. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. But she's like, "You shouldn't have done that." And it's like, okay, well, it was that or they all die, Ray.
Yeah.
Including the Falcon
I mean,
being blown up completely.
The biggest problem I have with the scene in terms of like the overall film is that this is one of the only moments we get kind of some back and forth dialogue with our lead characters, mind you.
But
and
it's just
they're
like,
arguing.
snap, snap, snap,
And
snap,
they're-
snap, snap, snap.
We get some arguing, so we see some tension between their characters, but that's all we ever get. We never get a nice moment where we see why are they friends, why are they bonded, how do they work well together, which is something that was so fun about, and why Return of the Jedi is one of my personally my favorite Star Wars film. It's because we get to see our favorite characters work together and have, do stuff together, and we see how well they work in a battle and
absolutely
as characters. We should be seeing that in this film, but this is the only time we see them really give back and forth dialogue, and it's just
they're
arguing,
bickering for the entire movie over nothing.
That is not fun. That does not make me invest in your heroes.
Completely forced tension. Oh yeah, we didn't mention the I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head. And it's like, okay, we're not going to bring that back at any point through the rest of the movie.
No.
There's actually a point where it becomes a problem. We'll get there.
So Kylo touches... Oh, also, we forget. Kylo touches his Vader mask during Rey's training, and that's kind of what makes her pissed off.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, he's just like... He's freaking Sauron over the Palantir, holding the helmet, and then she's like, yeah, I'm angry now. It's like, what is he... Is he just like... Is he like...
He's force projecting
his emotions onto her?
Yeah.
Like... Last Jedi established that projecting across the galaxy kills you, so even if it's just your emotions, I feel like this should take some effort.
Definitely. but you're projecting them.
But why?
Is it because they're bonds?
And why is he doing it?
Is it because they're forced dyad?
I guess.
Sure.
That's, to be fair,
of all the things you complain about, that's whatever.
To be fair, that is like
like
would be a good explanation for why that works in this movie.
So
it's dumb, but for the movie, it's fine.
It's like, okay, so is like dyads like quantum entanglement? Basically?
Let's get there later.
Okay.
Because
that's, I'm like, it kind of has similar attributes.
So, you do raise a good point, which is, again, why I think this would be better in the whole Force dyad sort of dynamic of having Skype calls where elements of the rooms you are in transfer and can be passed through. I think would work better either as a Brandon Sanderson-esque magic system that is really like intensely limited, it has a lot of rules set, or a like hard sci-fi sort of thing where you explain it as quantum entanglement. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah. And it's like you should have to reach a high tier of like capability in order to use this well. Like, I feel like if this was happening to you, you'd be so confused. You wouldn't be able to fight under these circumstances, which they do later on. I will say, when they're fighting, that is shot in a cool way. The way they film it.
Isn't it just like
Sure.
the camera like passes around them and then the room is on one side and then it's on the other side?
As their body wipes the screen, it changes the surroundings.
I saw that and I was like, oh, that's actually the way I was hoping you wouldn't do it.
Really?
Because I thought that was really generic. I was hoping they would do more like trippy sort of elements of each area bleeding through in really weird ways. But
they did a little bit with the fruit box
basket
and...
just like spilling onto the floor and then it's gone in the next shot. Yeah. So I guess it didn't stay through.
The only thing I thought during this scene was, wow, this took a lot of time to film.
So, where were we?
We were at the Falcon Landing.
The Falcon lands. They
really
bicker. Rey's like, you can't let me skip. I would have rather you died and the Falcon blown up than the Falcon be damaged and you guys be okay.
I get more screen time.
And then Poe's like, well, you damaged BB-8. And she's like, he's fine. Look at the Falcon. It's, the whole thing's on fire. Yeah. And Poe says something like, yeah, well, he's, like, what's left of him is like there's like nothing left of him or something. It's like a panel fell off.
What? You didn't cut him in half.
Like I was so confused by that, and it's like, what is going on? Why is BB-8 even with Rey? Why was he even over there?
It's like you give yourself a year-long gap to like say it would have been nice to have seen these in this is development in the films. But we come into this film with after a year-long period, I think is what it is, of these characters bonding. And this is what we see. Like, that's very disappointing.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand where you want to show that these characters have some sort of relationship, but make it a good one that we can vibe with.
It feels like filler episode dialogue.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah, what's
Same way they debunk the little decoder thing. Like, here's like literally Palpatine's whole plan in detail. That bully horn guy managed to get all of it.
Wait, okay, so hold on. We're moving a little.
we're moving at the same pace as the film.
I do. Speaking of the pace, I want to point out that the first, like the once the light skip up till the light speed skipping scene is done, that whole part of the movie, that whole first 10-15 minutes is like it plays like it's a really extended last time on Star Wars montage recapping a movie that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the most important points of a movie that just didn't happen.
Right.
That's it. That's how fast it moves.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
It's really something.
The pace of this movie is quite possibly the worst pacing I've ever seen in a movie. I'm not sure if I could name a worst paced film.
I'm like, I thought Batman vs Superman had bad pacing.
Yeah, that was. Really
That
bad
would
paced.
have been the worst one as of
And
a couple.
the opposite. It's like for the opposite reasons. Like this movie moves too fast. That movie moved too slow. I think.
I thought
This
that
in
movie.
some way.
I thought that
well,
movie moved too fast because it was trying to cover
It's-
too much ground.
I guess that would be less pacing and more the story moved too fast, but the
Yeah.
pace of the film was really slow.
This film is paced in a way similar to the way Hobbs and Shaw, the 10th Fast and Furious movie, was paced. Just for context.
Why have you seen that? Why?
It's a great.
I haven't seen any of the other ones.
No, yeah, same.
I went and saw that.
Hobbs
though.
and Shaw is my first Fast and Furious film. Same
Yeah,
with Prices.
yeah.
And
It's the best one I've seen.
It's the best one. It honestly is. But like, yeah, I want to understand what correlation you're making.
That film was paced like crazy.
I thought that film was paced like a action flick.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
that's how this movie feels as well.
I thought
but, like to the max.
Because I think that film, like, it's supposed to go at that speed.
Oh yeah, it definitely
It's
suits
like-
that genre. I'm
like-
just saying for comparison.
Okay.
This is Star Wars film now feels like a Fast and Furious movie.
But not cool cars.
That's not how a Star Wars film should be paced. That's not
Yo,
how a final
I would
installment-
watch a Star Wars Fast and Furious movie. Like,
Yeah.
bunch of like space, like super
just pod
souped up
racing, just a big movie
Yes!
about pod racing,
Dude!
Yeah, I'd watch that. I'd watch
Or
that.
just like
that sounds
call it,
fun.
like fast, like Kessel Run movie.
Get
or something.
Sebulba in there.
Yes,
Sebulba.
dude. I'm all right. When
Podo. We remember when our characters used to just be able to sit down, have a minute or two where we could just talk, just reveal our characters, get to know them. I miss those days.
nice.
Those were nice. Remember when they escaped the Death Star in episode 4, and we just get like a whole minute of like Luke sitting there and Leia talking to him? Like, in nowadays it would be like they escape the Death Star and immediately the TIE fighters are on them and there's this crazy chase, probably go through an asteroid field for some reason, and then they're out of
The
then they
Fortnite
escape.
audience needs to be entertained.
Yeah, they gotta.
If we aren't constantly hooking and then pulling them in with whatever bait we can use, whether it's an exciting little quick line of dialogue or some crazy visual or maybe some quirky character moment.
They fly now. They fly.
Oh my!
We'll get there. Okay, so
Really? How long have we been in this podcast?
okay, so then they're like, all right, we've decoded the message. Palpatine is back. He's coming to invade the universe in 16 hours.
Poe says with a sigh and the shake of the head.
Specifically, yeah, his
Our worst fears are true.
boy, his acting in that scene was awful.
I mean,
It was
think of
like,
the dialogue.
Our worst fears are true. Palpatine's back.
And then,
A worst. Wait, when was this ever like a fear you had?
Does he actually say that? I think he does.
he does say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then Pippin's there, and he's like,
Pippin!
what about second breakfast?
It's just in this
What about
movie
second
for some
Palpatine?
reason.
Yeah.
What about second Palpatine?
Do you think they know about that?
What about the spin-offs? The TV show? I don't think Disney knows about those. And then they chuck him one. They chuck him like 10. What about comic books? Novels?
Pippin, a Star Wars story.
Audio dramas.
Yeah, so that he's just in this movie for some reason, and I think it would be better if he wasn't.
He wasn't, but I enjoyed
Because
this
he's just weirdly there, and there's like an odd amount of focus given to the fact that he's there.
I
But
know.
he was
And
a
it's
warming
like-
presence for me personally. He was a warming
He was like, you're
presence.
gonna make it through this, bud.
Yeah,
You're
like
gonna survive this viewing, and you can go back.
So, yeah, there's
and
this
go watch a
really,
better film.
Yeah.
That I'm also in.
really stunted scene where they're just all gathered in a circle, and they're like, Palpatine's back, as his theme just plays in the background. And it's just like, wow.
It's
then-
like you
and
didn't,
then
you didn't know that from the message he literally just
Like,
broadcast.
okay, guys, weird scene. And what? I don't even remember how that scene ends.
It has to do with Rey pulling out her Jedi book.
Oh yeah, then we get this. Yeah, the weird bit with the book.
Exegol
And
is
she's-
mentioned in their secret information. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like he's on Exegol, and then Rey's like, "Oh, I know about that.
I know about
It's in
that.
My books."
It's in my book.
I read that chapter 9.
Also, I want to point out this is not in the movie, so it's not a fault of the film, but it is a fault of the external material. Just more evidence for how absolutely broken Disney's expanded universe is. The location for Exegol is smack dab in the center of Chiss-controlled space. The Chiss are the race that Thrawn is from. They are an
Big boy.
extremely territorial, protective, high-tech nation that is very secluded in the Outer Rim and very, like, vigilant against outsiders and attacks and people from anywhere. Like, it is, like, quite possibly the worst part of the galaxy that you could have stuck this planet in to be believable. Like, that is the least believable spot for it to be. Directly in the center of Chiss space. Why? They would know about this.
They'd be like,
They would absolutely know that there is a Sith planet in the middle of their territory.
and like that, there's this weird jelly nebula thing in the middle to get there.
God spilled his jam, his
Shoot.
strawberry rhubarb jam, just spilled it right over Exegol.
Man, dude, the apple from the Garden of Eden, man, those are good jam. Yeah.
Some good jam. Persona will be easy to get through, I think.
What's Persona again?
I shouldn't have said it'll be easy to get through. That was a mistake. Okay, Persona. So, they arrive on this... Why did they go here? Oh, it was like...
What is this place again?
Why did they go here? I think it's
So-
the desert planet. I think
so-
Leia was like, I have an old contact who can...
Help us. They were
That
looking.
sounds
They were
right.
looking for the
Yeah.
MacGuffin, the Wayfinder.
Pathfinder's cousin.
Yeah, so Rey reads in her book from Luke. It's like, oh, he was looking for this Wayfinder, but he stopped. And Leia's like, okay, I know there's someone on a planet who you can go to who can help you with that. So they go to Pisana, and then there's a giant festival going on. And for some reason, they had to add a line where 3PO is like, this only happens once every 42 years. And it's like, why did you need to do that? Why did you have to write more luck into your script? It didn't need to be like that.
No.
And then Poe's like, all right, we need to stay low, watch it, because First Order patrols are always in crowds like this. And
Because they're in power.
why? What is this universe? What is your world building?
It's really messy.
terrible.
Messy. Especially the First Order. Like,
Oh,
what are they?
Everything to do with the First Order sucks.
Are they the Empire? Are they some... Basically,
Who knows?
they're whatever the plot needs
Even
them to
this
be.
movie doesn't know. Because
They're-
Palpatine's got a whole separate thing that he's building on Exegol This is completely separate from the First Order.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he then tries to meld the First Order, even though he controls the First...
He's melding his
Okay,
two...
so...
Oh my gosh.
Palpatine had control of the Empire. He was the Emperor.
Yeah.
And then he died. We don't know when he came back.
And then he was
And he's in the-
controlling Snoke, right?
So then he's in the... It goes to the Outer Rim for some reason. And the Empire... He puts into effect Operation Cinder, as we see in some books, and the Battlefront 2 campaign, the EA Battlefront 2 specifically, which is a contingency he apparently had in the case of his death, where the Empire destroys the galaxy so no one else can have it.
Okay.
Which is
okay,
dumb.
jealous ex-girlfriend.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
Okay.
and then the First Order rises out of nowhere, takes over the galaxy, and Palpatine is like, I'm gonna invade the First Order controlled galaxy in 16 hours,
Which I control.
which I control the First Order.
Okay.
But also, First Order, you guys need to mesh with my Final Order. Final Order? Freaking cracks me up. The Final Order! What a dumb thing to
What
do.
a dumb name. Basically, the First Order is there to provide tension when they need it
Yep.
and to sell Empire toys, but it's Disney's Empire.
It's so they can still have
It's not actual
the
stormtroopers.
Imperial iconography, except just different enough to justify selling new toys.
Right. That's all it is.
Yeah, we drew an extra line on the Stormtrooper helmets, and
Wow.
we sold them.
And the Star Destroyers look more fat.
It's all.
That's it.
Is that like how they're different?
And
They're
what-
fatter?
A little bit fatter.
They've been
And they don't have as big of a bridge.
They have they're double-decker Star Destroyers now. They literally look like a Star Destroyer on top of a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Like, if you have
I think we only see them in The Last Jedi. No, we see them in Force
we see them in
Awakens.
Force Awakens too.
just straight up okay boomer. That's what that is. That is an okay boomer moment.
And what even is Palpatine's motivation in this movie? Like, it flips like 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does.
Because he tells Kylo in the beginning, he says, go kill Rey. That's what he says. He says you need to kill Rey because she's the only hope. Roll my eyes. And then Kylo's like, okay. And then he tells Rey, I'm not gonna kill you though, because I like you for some reason.
We're gonna kiss. Yeah,
Say
okay.
that louder.
We're gonna kiss. Spoiler. And then Ray's like, Jesus Christ, why would I ever kiss you? 2 hours later. Oh, he's dead. I'm kissing a corpse.
He's like, kill Rey, and then, but he knows Rey's heritage, and he knows that he's gonna want her to kill him.
He said, God, this film sucks! It's...
Help is like,
There's so much to unpack! It's so dense!
oh, I don't even want.
He sent... Darth Uchi, who is not a Darth, but I want to call him Darth Uchi. He sends Darth Uchi to kill Rey's parents, one of whom is his son or daughter, and then who ran away apparently, and who he never like raised or like.
And he would have had these kids when
brainwashed.
he was the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
He was in total control.
Someone clapped the cheeks of roasted walnut Palpatine. Post Revenge of the Sith, fried face Palpatine.
Oh God!
Got laid.
Oh God! Either one of those people, one's literally a supermodel, and the other one's like the blogs on Playboy magazine. What? One of those two, dude. He totally raped.
And-
he totally raped. Force raping.
That, or funnily enough, JJ has described the mind interrogation force technique that Kylo uses as akin to rape. So, according to JJ, Kylo has raped Rey. But sure, they have a perfectly functional relationship.
Dude, this the relationship gets worse and worse.
I know!
This deal is getting worse all the time.
I have altered the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Oh, JJ, we gotta rewrite this whole section. Oh, yeah, we'll rewrite this. Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's time for the movie to come out. Oh, shoot, we gotta...
Yeah, so he sent Uchi to kill his son, who he didn't raise and make into a Sith for some reason. And
Okay, sure.
to capture Rey for some reason. But now he's telling Kylo to kill Rey.
You couldn't have captured Rey while she was chilling by herself on Jakku. Literally less than maybe a year.
I just don't understand any of it. It's so bad.
It's almost like they just pulled Palpatine back for the final film or something.
It's almost as if we
like a Hail
are.
Mary pass.
It's almost as if
That
these
didn't
writers
even
are
get past the
completely
line.
incompetent.
The Hail Mary pass didn't even get past the line of scrimmage. Like,
So
It's like, whoops.
So then they go into the crowd and pose like, duck Chewie. And he's like, oh, okay. And Chewie does a weird duck. And it's like, okay. And then
yeah,
Rey, like,
conspicuous.
starts watching these kids being taught, and they're really creepy. And
A candid reaction of the person sitting next to me when I saw it opening night was she went like, ew! Oh! Right next to me. She laughed at a lot of Palpatine's lines too. I'm like, wow.
that's hysterical.
right.
Oh, yeah, I saw, like, these kids are horrifying.
Wait, what was happening? I
This is on Pisana
Yeah.
when there's like these these animatronic kids that are laughing. They're like being taught
Right
by
before
an
Rey gets
older-
that necklace.
They're-
yeah.
And then there's like this really extreme close up of one of them as it laughs, and it's just a human child laughing. And I was like, this is nightmare fuel.
It's horrifying.
What is this?
More of the brown creature design.
Stop it, Disney.
Like, you have more colors than brown.
God. And then
Or is this just what Mickey Mouse is shitting out at you?
And then suddenly this alien girl goes up to Rey and is like, "Hey, what's your name?" in an alien language, and 3PO is like, "What's your name?" and Rey says Rey, and then
What's your favorite?
she's like, "Oh, I'm blah blah blah," and then I'm pretty sure if I remember, I'm remembering this correctly, is that the girl says her full name, and then without 3PO translating anything, we just have the subtitles on the screen. Rey then goes, "That's a beautiful name."
Yeah.
And she just understood it without 3PO
No,
translating.
Because I'm like,
I don't remember
I
that.
thought of it as like she's just kind of like, whatever she would have said, she would have just been like, that's very beautiful.
I remember something in that scene where there was some line 3PO did not translate, and
maybe.
Rey then responded to it, and I was like, hold on. You don't know what she said. And then
Forced translation.
And then 3PO's like,
know.
she wants to know your
Oh, I think
family
you're right, yeah.
name. And then Rey's like, I don't have one. Foreshadowing. And then
really
she's like,
lame-
here's this necklace because you're a Mary Sue and I like you for no reason.
And isn't it made out of macaroni? No.
Random human.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
And then she takes it, she's like, oh, thank you, it's really
It took
pretty.
me
And then
9 months and
Kylo,
my
like,
mother's
suddenly
death to make
shows up and snatches it. He's like, ha, I got it.
They're on this planet because they can only make it on this planet.
Like, I
Because
can...
the macaroni only grows on this planet.
Thankfully, he didn't, like, look at it and then go, you're on Pisana. There's actually, like, the scene cuts away, and then when we cut back to it, there's, like, a First Order officer who hands it to him and is like, we analyzed it, and it's from Pisana, sir. So, like, it kind
Yeah,
of
but like
works.
what? Like give me
I guess there's, like,
give me Star Wars like hecking what's it called? CSI or whatever. Give me Star Wars CSI and
Yeah, like, you could have done, like-
explain to me.
Like, I think a way to make it work even more would have been, like, it's made out of such and such metal that only comes from the planet Pisana.
See? Yeah, that's it. That's
Imagine
all.
if they had gone to like some, big celebration on like Coruscant or something that everyone
Also,
would
like,
know.
this-
Would have been real
This is-
freaking nice to see Coruscant again.
This is definitely Coruscant. And they're like, well, they're at the thing on Coruscant that's there every year.
Also, like,
We gotta show up there and
did
find
these
them.
aliens come from this planet? Because I thought it was like a big festival that like maybe other people would have come.
No, I'm pretty sure
No,
it's
they
just
were, like, the
natives
only
because they were
humans there.
all they were only those.
And then
creatures.
Lando's there.
Because Lando likes going to weird festivals.
So
You
then
know, he once had a love affair with the robot, I guess. So
they're like, oh,
why
God.
wouldn't he go to?
So let's not. Okay. So then Kylo's like, all right, take us to Basana, and then instantly Rey is like, we have to run. Kylo knows where we are, even though like she wouldn't know that he could deduce that.
She had.
And then,
that
but
he had
sure
first
enough,
ever
like
CSI.
4 seconds later, there is TIE fighters in the distance
I guess they have like deployment units.
that
All
were
over the
like
galaxy.
already on this planet, just that were notified and are already coming here. It's like, wow. That's like beyond Imperial levels of.
Responsive.
Yeah. And remember when
They're
in
blinking.
A New Hope they're searching for R2 and 3PO and they're knocking door to door? Because they're the Empire. They're an actual government in control, and they're like, we own this. We're trying not to like disrupt this civilization. But the First Order comes in and starts blasting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which I will say isn't necessarily bad, given the characterization of the First Order is that they're more like an extreme guerrilla force. Except they just have insane technology.
And
overwhelming
power.
But like, so that kind of works, I guess. But it's just interesting. It's interesting to think of. So then they're like, okay, we gotta run and hide or something. I think there's like a joke with 3PO or something where, oh no, that was at the beginning of the Pisana scene where he like says something and they all look at him and then like they're staring at him and then 3PO looks behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
I
of
didn't
that.
like that joke.
Wasn't a fan of that one. Nope.
But anyway, the first
Because it was
order
a
shit
joke.
But it was okay because it was 3PO acting as 3PO.
Yeah.
It was just like,
It worked.
what are you
okay
looking
for me.
at, sis? But
Yeah,
I
that
just
did
didn't
fit
think it
his
was
character.
very funny, but it's fine. So then Poe runs up. They're running through the crowd. I was going to say something, but it's actually later. They're running through the crowd, and then one random stormtrooper is like, hey, you guys! And then suddenly he just gets sniped by a freaking arrow just straight through his visor and brains him, and he falls over dead. The festival just keeps going. And then this guy in armor is like, hey, you, come with me. And they're like, what? And they follow him into a
It's like
oversized tank tread.
that's just going through the party.
Yeah.
And
it's
moving, and they walk inside. He takes off his helmet, and then I think Chewie hugs him first. I liked that moment. Wow, the best moment in this entire movie is Chewie hugging Lando.
And Lando's like, Chewie!
Chewie! It was great.
Yeah.
I like, it's so a little effort to just have the characters like, the reason that works is because we know these characters and they've been through stuff. So it's like, it's good writing to have them act as they used to and enjoy each other's presence.
Right.
It's not actually like worthless fan service nostalgia. It's actually just how these characters would act.
Exactly.
Which people call that fan service. And that's such nonsense.
It's tainting of what fan service is.
People, like,
different.
I keep hearing people saying, like, oh man, if they had Luke, Leia, and Han on screen at the same time, it would have been fan service. I'm like, no, they're friends. They would be in the same room together at some point in their lives.
I mean, that's like fan service wouldn't. So would fan service be like going out of your way to do something? To make
Fan
your
service
fans
is a
happy?
crazy word that means whatever
I'm
people
like,
want it to
I've
mean.
never like defined it.
But if you just look at the definition, doing fan service is doing a good story, servicing the fans by making a good story. But the like colloquial definition is like when it's not actually what the fans want, but what the corporation thinks the fans want and are trying to please them with soulless writing, I think is what people refer
Generally,
to it
it's
as.
like, oh, we add in a line from the prequels. That's
Yeah,
fan service.
yeah, it's
oh,
just
we
like-
add in the dudes from the bar in A New Hope in Rogue One.
That's literally what I was about
It's
to
just
say.
totally random. It doesn't really make sense, but it could kind of work, and it's just there so that people are like,
it's a
oh,
thing,
look
so
at
like-
that. I remember that.
Oh, I remember that.
I'm
oh,
a fan.
I clapped.
I clap.
Then there's some bit where like someone, I don't know if it's 3PO or Poe, but like says that's Lando Calrissian, and then Rey's like,
Oh, it's
yeah,
Finn.
I know who
I think
he
it's Finn.
really.
I think.
Why is it him? And then Rey's like, yeah, I know who he is, and it's like, why do you know who he is? You thought Luke was a myth in The Force Awakens.
Because in the months that we haven't seen, they had Rebel History Month, where they where they told everyone about their rebellion's history.
This is like Christopher Columbus.
And I mean, like, yeah, I can imagine that if she had been taught the history of the rebellion, sure.
Yeah, but
But it's just another thing where it's like she recognizes a character from the OT. Like in Force Awakens, they meet Han, and Finn is like, you're Han Solo, the rebellion general? And Rey goes, no, the smuggler.
Yeah, how would you know that? You're on Jakku. You
So-
talk about smugglers often.
Well, it's because he was smuggling when they met him, right? He had taken up the smuggling arts again, right?
I think it's supposed to be that, like, because she is from that walk of life-ish, from the Outer Rim, that she only knows his name in reference to his smuggling. But no one should know him in reference to his smuggling.
Because if you're a
because
good
he was a
smuggler-
good smuggler, and a good smuggler isn't famous. So, then Chewie, not Chewie, Lando says some nonsense. I don't remember anything he said.
No, he.
It was basically just like worthless plot direction. He was like, oh yeah, he was like, Darth Ochi's ship, it's out on a rock in the middle of the desert. Go.
We couldn't find
That was
anything.
basically
Yeah,
his line.
no, it was.
And they're like, okay, let's go. So they
also wait, did it crash land there or just like land there?
I could land, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Because later
You know
we see
how-
the speeders
you know
like,
how
on the ground.
Episode 2, The Mandalorian. Mando is away from his ship for about 5 minutes,
Oh.
and the entire ship has been
It's just
stripped for parts.
completely-
This ship has been, Ochi's ship has been in the middle of this planet for
Probably 30 years.
at minimum 6 years.
Sure.
You wouldn't know that by the movies, but according to the
but the ship. I mean, I would. wouldn't it-
according to the external universe info, Luke went to Stupid Island planet 6 years prior to Force Awakens. So, and Luke and Lando were searching this ship together.
Oh, okay.
So, it was at least 6 years ago. And it's just still there. Totally fine. No one's been
It
in it.
still flies later.
It's still
This planet has no sandstorms or
JJ,
anything that would
why-
hurt it.
Like,
it even
dude,
blows
second-
sand out of the engines when it fires up.
Which Star Trek film do they like take like? Oh, this is like the first space shuttle to be like.
Oh, that's Star Trek Beyond, I think.
No, that's not Star Trek Beyond.
Where they take
No,
the really
oh,
old
no,
one.
yeah,
and
yeah,
it-
yeah.
and
It is
they-
Star
it
Trek
just
Beyond,
works.
I think.
Oh yeah, the old
And that's JJ,
frigate.
right?
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
doing the same thing, like old ship, let's fly it.
Yeah, he has sort of a handful of tropes that he kind of just
Mystery box.
only
mystery
those
box.
that he uses. Interestingly enough, I was thinking about this last night. Star Trek 2009. There's no mystery boxes in that movie.
No.
There's not a single mystery box in that film.
I'm personally a fan of that trilogy
I
of
am
films.
I am a fan of Star Trek 2009.
2009 is a good film.
Yeah.
People obviously with some right hate on it for hurting Star Trek's continuity, but I think it weirds me out that like it gets the same level of hate as Force Awakens got for rebooting the setting back to the beginning, when like Star Trek was like specifically framed as a reboot, and the way he did it was framing it as an alternate timeline. It's literally not the same universe, and people hate on it for hurting the original continuity.
Which
The only way it does that is by blowing up Romulus and taking Spock out of the main timeline at the end of his life.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those things, but like in terms of hurting the continuity, that's like
That's small potatoes.
that's small potatoes
compared to what?
compared to what this is all done. So, and in terms of just general writing, I think Star Trek 2009 is good, or at least fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad movie.
I think it's JJ's formula working at probably kind of its best.
Yeah,
Generally, his tropes working well in that film, and I really like Beyond as well.
I like Beyond.
I do remember enjoying it, but I haven't seen it outside of theaters.
Yeah.
So then they're like, all right, we got to go get that ship. And,
They know how to find it.
well, he told them where it was.
He told them where it
It's
was.
like beyond the sea of, the dude sea of death.
And he has a kind of good line where he's like, "Give Leia my love."
Oh, yeah. That was a good
That was
line.
good.
I do remember. I was like, that's my boy.
Yeah.
That's Lando.
Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah, weirdly enough, completely unharmed Lando in this
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
Totally fine.
They just left him.
They
Like,
didn't
wow.
touch him a whole lot, which is probably why. But
Holy, you know what? I'm glad they left him undefiled.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank God.
First time.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, yeah, the ship is still fine. It's still there. He
With a
is
really weak chase scene.
for some reason, he is still on this planet. We don't know why Lando is here.
No, because in the
We
leaks,
know
it
about why he is
explains-
in the leaks, but not. They cut that out of this movie.
Yep.
And thank God they did, because that would have hurt Lando as a character. But now he's fine. It's just he's here. He even has a line where he says, Leia sent me a message, and I'm meeting you guys. So you could interpret that as he wasn't even on this planet, but it was just like a rendezvous
Oh
point.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he came to meet them? You could take it as that?
I'm cool with that.
So theoretically,
That's how I choose to play.
he's fine.
He's fine. He's cool.
It's fine.
So
So then they run out into the crowd, and Poe starts hot wiring a speeder.
and Finn's
And
like,
Finn's like,
how do you know
how to do that? What? Tell me, Poe, what's going on? How do you know how to do something illegal? It's like, okay, he's part of a group of guerrilla fighters. Of course he's a pilot. Of course he knows how to hotwire a speeder.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Finn? I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
I want a gif of him saying that and then have that played after every time Ray does something.
A GIF. You just said a GIF.
said
A gif, a gif, a whiff.
A whiff of a gift.
Have I been friends with you for like 6 years without knowing you pronounce a GIF? Get out of my house right now.
Okay. All right, I'll leave.
No. Okay.
All right. So hey, just so our viewers, we're gonna need a new caster.
Now hiring.
now hiring someone.
Your last name has.
my
has to be
career's
B.
over.
Yeah, your last name has to start with the letter B. But
And
that's the only requirement.
you can.
I want a
name-
gif.
You can name change for this. It would be fine.
We need a gif of me saying gif.
Okay.
Gif, 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 gif.
So, yeah, and Finn's super upset, and Poe's like, "Just don't worry about it, man. Tell you later."
Super sus.
And it's
my
like,
guy.
and it's a setup for the later reveal that Poe used to be a criminal, but it sucks.
I never even made that connection. I
It's
just thought it was like basically the script being like, yeah, we don't have any explanation for how people do things. We're just gonna have someone question it so it's not like, the audience isn't the only one.
put
questioning
a lampshade on it.
Yeah.
So then they hop in the speeders, they start going, and then there's there's the first order. You lost it in the theater when this happened.
I think I fell out of my seat almost.
So,
Like,
because you didn't see this scene,
no.
they released this clip, but you didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
So,
So-
there are these.
They're freaking Stormtrooper Frogger, speeders. They just launched
So
them.
they've got these treads on the front for some reason in a desert
Okay.
A speeder would be way better.
And then
it catapults them back and launches these jet troopers up, and they go flying.
it was so dumb.
It's designed as like a launch pad for the jet, but
It's
but
literally
they're jetpacks, you know?
You don't need an extra boost for that.
No.
So
There's no point. It was legit. I was like, this belongs in a video game or in my imagination at 9 years old.
absolutely.
Kylo Ren's not in his ship chasing them. He's just got speeders.
Yeah, like there's
What?
they don't have TIE fighters flying at them instead of like these.
Do they not have any TIE fighters following them?
Not until because Rey splits it one and a half later. You know, when she does the stupid like I'm gonna look away, then look back,
Oh yeah, that's kind
and then run at him.
okay. Yeah,
and then
there are no TIE fighters chasing them. That's weird.
there's just the one
and
that
so
has apparently a roll cage.
so that's the best roll cage I've ever seen.
I know.
So then we get a shot of like Kylo's ship like entering the atmosphere or something, and like we know that he's here now instantly.
he hyperblinked apparently.
Hyper blinking.
We have a really cheesy throwback in this scene too, where Rey's like, "Never underestimate the droid."
Oh yeah,
After
she does
BB-8
say
blows
that.
up a
Like,
dude.
Ha ha! So he takes out his little like
One of his many little finger things.
and he like starts poking what is apparently like a firework canister or like
Sure.
like a dye canister,
Yeah,
and it
it's-
flies up
Oh!
and explodes in a big puff
Yeah.
of color and takes out
because
a jet trooper.
they stole the speeder. Like they did
Yeah,
that.
it's fine, I guess, but it's an instance of
Great.
writing, specifically trying to make a scene more interesting by writing it so your heroes take out the bad guys in an interesting way. JJ does that a lot. He likes to have heroes defeat the enemies in unique ways, but it has to be believable. It has to be plausible. It has to actually be like a good idea, and also like it has to be better than conventional methods.
yeah.
Yeah, right. It has to
Whereas
be like kind of a desperate moment. where
Shooting
it's like-
them would be better, I think.
Then like flipping the cap on like ink or powder, whatever. Oh.
So
You know what I think they're just like, oh, we don't have enough money to do like a cool thing, so we're gonna reuse the effect for the hecking salt planet and just give it a different color. We're just gonna reuse that effect that we made.
So then we get the infamous line where 3PO's like, "They fly now." Finn goes, "They fly now?" And then Poe goes, "They fly now."
Comedy comes in 3.
And you're supposed to laugh.
You're in a space drama with ships. They've been flying for 9 films.
I mean, to be fair, they do mean jetpacks as opposed.
No,
to
they.
but it is still dumb.
This surprises you? You've seen a planet made into like a planet-killing weapon.
That killed 5 other planets. This is what makes you
And-
go, they fly now?
And
What?
Oh, Nani?
my favorite is there's like an interview with Oscar Isaac and John Boyega where I think the interviewer asks like, "What do you think of that line?" And then Oscar Isaac goes, "They fly now." He like just completely makes fun of it, and then John Boyega goes, "They've been flying since the Clone Wars." And it's like, attaboy, guys. I love you too. That's great.
Yeah, they have been flying since the Clone Wars.
Been flying since before then.
So they do a bunch of wacky ways to kill them, and then they do, and then
And also, like, you know, those tread speeders that we mentioned earlier? Like, the fact that they're tied to the ground comes into how they defeat them.
it is
Like,
yeah,
if they
actually,
had
because
been
it goes
normal
flying.
speeders-
It jumps off a ramp, and it's in the air, and then she shoots the bottom of
Shoots
it,
the
and
bottom
it
and
blows
blows
up.
And then, like, they also do some, like, things where, like, oh, you gotta make them run into other things.
Yep.
Where, like, if it was a normal speeder, it could either, like, just, like, raise out.
I mean, to be fair, that's how He defeats some of the speeders in Return of the Jedi.
Which is, like, fine, because in that one, they're super fast in a very claustrophobic environment.
True.
This one, they're in the desert and in a very convenient canyon.
They shoot a random
There is a
like
very
harpoon thing
convenient
up
kid.
the tread, and then they manage to like hook on.
Oh yeah, how did
that one?
That
And
was
then they, like, swing
nonsense.
it.
Oh my!
And then
I'm pretty
they-
sure there are only 2 speeders too. 2
Yeah.
I don't
first
remember.
order. Yeah,
The
there are only
numbers are
2,
dumb.
which is like, why would you only send 2 of like pretty much your worst design?
The math in these movies never checks out. So
Some battle tactics.
then they're home free, but
Oh, the
then
Knights of Ren are standing on a cliff too.
Yeah, they're just like
You get a nice like
no.
pan shot.
That's after they. Isn't that after they get out of the tunnels?
I don't remember.
Okay, at some point there's just this crazy shot where the Knights of Ren are just on top of a pillar of rock and they're just posing with this drone
And they're
shot
like, yeah.
flying around them. It's like, okay.
I'm pretty sure they just took footage from BTS like videos and just put Knights of Ren over it.
Like,
Do you guys know what BTS is?
behind the scenes?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
BTS is the Korean K-pop band.
Oh, that's
The boy band. It's a BTS.
They just CGI'd
a Knights of Ren over a
into-
BTS video.
The Knights of Ren are worthless in this movie.
I think Ian, you said
Dude,
that.
I love the Knights. Like, the idea of it is so cool, and they don't capitalize in the... They talk about it in the first film, they don't even touch on it in the second film, and in the third film, they do nothing!
They just walk around in like 2 shots and then
stand around doing photo
then
ops.
get horribly slaughtered by Kylo at the very end, and then they're done.
Because they have like medieval weapons.
Because
for
they
some
have
reason.
axes.
Not even, like, cool axes. Like, because one of them literally is Gimli's axe.
Yeah.
And it's not even, like, a lightsaber axe, which would have kind of been kind of cool. Little impractical.
You know, they had like the
Yeah,
baton in Force Awakens. Like that could like deflect lightsabers.
Yeah, but, like,
Something like
Oh
that.
yeah, remember how that happened in Force Awakens? We never brought back the fact that we have lightsaber deflecting weapons that used by the First Order.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never did.
Never brought that back.
But that-
He had a shield too. That guy had like
Yeah.
a
have
medieval
that shield.
kite shield.
Yeah.
Dude, the Knights of Ren could have been so cool.
Could have done something with them, but JJ
But she
didn't do a thing.
Didn't.
But she didn't.
Also, Phasma didn't come back.
Yeah,
Which
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
a
can't
little
sell
bit.
more Chrome
Just
toys
a little
anymore.
bit surprised.
She survived the explosion of Starkiller Base. She survived getting chucked into a bottomless pit on a Star Destroyer.
So
Why not?
then they like fly off a little jump and then all get dumped onto a very specific section of sand that is
It's like a
colored
different
differently than the rest of the sand. And then they all start sinking into it.
Wait, Ray, I thought you could force levitate.
She could have levitated them out of there.
Whoop, this is how we go.
And so then they're slipping under, and then Finn's like, "Wait, Ray, I have to tell you something."
I love Glit.
And so JJ has said that what Finn wanted to tell her, because the movie doesn't actually pay this thread off, which is insane.
Yeah.
Why would you set that up and not pay it off in the final movie?
They're like watching it at the first opening screen and they're like, oh shoot, we forgot to
We forgot to cut that scene back in.
rats. Well, this is the final cut. We've already had 20. We can't do it again.
So JJ said that what he wanted to tell her was that he's force sensitive,
What?
but why would
Why would you wait?
he's like sinking into the sand? Wait, Ray, I'm force sensitive. Okay,
That helps us how?
Fit. Good to know, Fit. Like, what does that do
I'm
for
glad we can
you?
talk this out.
What
right
does
now.
that do right now? Like,
And also, that doesn't come to be a thing.
well, because
Does
like
it?
at the very end, he's like,
He
he has a
or something.
feeling that the navigation tower has been transferred to a specific ship. He's like, it's that one. And they're like, how do you know? He's like, I have a feeling.
Cue a Vici song. I've got a feeling.
And see, this was
Never,
something
ever,
that
ever.
was, if I remember right, he used the lightsaber in Force Awakens, right?
Yeah,
Could have been alluding to that from that film.
yeah.
but-
We could have had force sensitive Finn through this whole trilogy, but nope. It would have been a nice little explanation for why he breaks the First Order's programming. He's force sensitive, and that allows him to see the horror of killing civilians and breaks his programming.
But there are others.
But there's an entire battalion. Okay, we'll get to that too. So then they fall in the tunnel, and for some reason, the way this quicksand works is that it's just like a layer of sand that is the roof of a tunnel system, and you fall through, and once you're through it, you're fine.
Because that's how tunnels work.
Because that's how
you
sand
have soft
works.
ceilings.
It's not gonna fall on top
I've played Minecraft. Sand falls.
Minecraft has better world mechanics than Star Wars. They should have Jeb direct this movie.
All I'll say is like that's just weird and lucky.
Mojang, a Star Wars star.
But it's weird and lucky, but like conceivably, this type of sand just works that way. Okay. It's just lucky. It's just a contrivance. But it's not like that's impossible. It's just weird that this sand works that way. So then they all fall in the tunnel, and then there's like a 3PO joke again, where Poe's like, Finn, Rey, and then he's like, you didn't call my name, sir, but I'm okay too.
No one laughed ever.
I've heard that people like that joke.
It's, it's a little bit of a throwback to when people ignored.
I've heard it so many other times in things that are barely better than this.
I'm okay with it. I just think it felt a little forced, but
all their jokes feel like they've taken like the most popular of like bad film like jokes, and they took like the top 10 to put it in their film.
So then they start walking through, and then 3PO's like, This is a Sith hex symbol. It's a thing that
just on his speeder.
Sith assassins have, and it's just in this speeder that's in the tunnel for some reason.
That's great, 3PO.
And then Rey's like, bones. And then they go over.
Let's not forget the very I don't know if you want to say political, whatever. Poe like this little flashlight, dinky flashlight thing.
Yeah, so Rey ignites her saber to light up the tunnel, and then there's this very lingering shot of Poe pulling out a flashlight, and he's like, oh.
I don't get a lightsaber.
My dick's not as big as Rey's.
Which, very true, and that's
like,
not your fault.
It's like, keep undermining this character.
Okay!
That's how you use it.
I don't like that joke. I just don't think it's funny.
We
That's
keep making Poe look like an idiot is the problem.
He never does anything wrong in these movies, and everyone just keeps hating on him.
Yeah.
What has he done to deserve this? If he had done the decisions everybody wants him to have done instead, everyone would be dead, including him. Why does this keep... He blew up Starkiller Base, you guys! Someone reference that, please?
You did a good thing, no. Let it do more.
So, and they're like, oh, bones!
Bones!
And Rey's like,
Bones.
Wait, there's a thing there in the sand.
This dagger. I know it, or something. And
she's like, terrible things.
And then suddenly, sandworm! And it just kind of crawls up.
No, it was like a snake thing.
Whatever it is. And then it's like, and then Rey hiccup and toothlesses it, and kind of walks over to it.
How to train your
just like freaking aimbots over to the wound on the other side of it.
Yeah.
She steps over its body and then looks down to the... She could not have known that was there.
Yeah.
And then she just touches it and heals it.
The snake's not like, oh, don't touch me.
And then it's like, lit, and then slithers away.
And there's a hole where it was.
And there's a hole where it was to lead them out.
Oh, look. 8-bit game. We're like, oh, you passed the dungeon.
Yeah.
You may leave.
You may now leave.
Like, this is straight up like Jumanji style.
It's such a video game thing. And, like, that's insulting to video games, too.
Yeah.
Like, some video games do this better. And then Finn and Poe just go... And Chewie and 3PO just go for the exit. And then BB-8 walks up to Rey and rolls up to Rey and is like, what was that? What did you just do? And then Rey's like, well, you see, I transferred some of my life force into the wound, so now it's fine. And then steps up and walks away.
And BB-8's like, oh no! And she's like, oh, you do it too, BB-8.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, if you could, you would have done it for me too. Or
Yeah.
something. There's some weird
So
line.
none of the human characters question what she's done. Little BB-8.
But little BB-8 has
like,
to question
what
it.
the heck?
Why didn't Finn ask how she did that?
Or anyone.
Anyone besides BB-8.
Maybe it's like my logic processes have not been damaged like everyone else's here. What is happening?
Even though you dropped a tree on me. So then they just walk out, and then they climb up to Ochi's ship, and they get inside. Fire thing. Funny thing. They step inside, and they all look around, and they're like, "Well, there's nothing here."
There's a couple throwaway lines about like how dirty it is or whatever to make us remember this is an old ship.
And then they're like, "All right,
And they'll go like the brum 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 brum.
yeah." And then they're like,
okay.
"We have to turn this on because there's no way we can get to the Falcon because they'll have found that." Like, okay. And then they turn it on, and then Rey's like, she looks off to the distance. She's like, "I have to do something. Wait for me." And then starts going. And Finn's like, "Sure."
Okay, I can't
And
stop
walks
you.
inside, sees her out in the desert, and is like, "Chewie, go get her."
And she was like,
Why Chewie?
Oh no! Well, let's
Because
rewind a
Chewie,
little bit.
for some reason, has
Grab
the
the
dagger.
dagger.
There is a specific shot where he's the one that takes it,
Yeah.
which this doesn't affect the film in any way. Actually, that he took it, it's
No.
fine.
Yeah.
3PO could have had it the whole time. Nothing changes.
It's
Well,
weird that-
I mean, you don't get the stupid ass fake out with like, we don't have it. Oh, what are we gonna do? I have it in my memory databanks. Oh.
Was that?
I
is
think that
the
was a
new,
thing.
Is that the new droid?
No,
no,
that's
that's 3PO. He's got
He's
it
like,
memorized.
oh, I have it
Oh,
memorized.
right.
And then everyone's like,
Oh.
oh, woo, that was a close one.
Yeah. So Chewie like hops down the rocks and
He's like, oh, I'm gonna go on over here, and then the Knights of Ren are right there.
the Knights of
like-
Ren.
They just
are
beat it. They like
right
walk up and just
there.
Standing
look
right
at him.
outside of the ship.
And then it cuts to Rey like 500 million miles from the ship. The ship's nowhere in sight, just in the middle of the desert.
She force walks.
And she's just like heavy breathing for no good reason. And then Kylo's flying at her for no reason. What does he want to do here? He stated that he doesn't want to kill her, but he's trying to run her over in his TIE fighter.
No, he's trying to like get to her so that they can love each other.
What does he
And,
think's
how did
gonna
he find
happen
them?
if she didn't jump? And when she jumps, what does he think is gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like why? None of it works. And then she cuts off his wing, and the worst crash I've ever seen. Like speed,
It explodes.
speed racer levels of.
It's like the pod
would
racers
be
in episode
yeah,
1. They're like
you are
flying.
dead.
Yeah.
And then the next shot, he's standing outside of the crash, totally
walking away.
fine. No soot on him, no burn,
scratches.
no
His hair
smoke,
looks pretty
no
nice.
smoke. He's flawless, immaculate. He could go to a photo shoot and he would be beautiful.
as Adam Driver is, but it doesn't work here.
And then he so
She's walking. So yeah, and then
Also, I do want to make fun of just like this. Like, okay, Ray looks at it, looks away, takes a breath, looks back, starts
running
runs
with-
away with it, away from it, and then like
for some reason
jumps,
jumps
does a flip,
flips, chops it. So then Finn walks out of the ship and sees Chewie, and it's just like it's like he got pulled over for like having a bad taillight.
And there's a
like
stormtrooper.
the stormtroopers are just like, all right, buddy, get,
all right,
get
come
and
here.
one of them
Get in
is
the
holding
car.
the dagger like a foot away from his face and
He's
like,
like, "Huh,
waving it.
what's
He's like, look at this,
How
audience.
dare you? How dare you?
have
Why
a
do you have
knife?
this day?
This is so odd. It's almost.
We got him, boys. we got him. He's got a knife.
Yeah.
Great job, Knights of Ren. Yeah, you did the most useful thing you'll do in this whole film.
And they
You grab
take him.
Chewie.
They put him on a
Dude, they
ship.
racially profiled Chewie. I'm pissed.
They put him on the ship.
Racially profiled.
And
for a
then,
knife.
so what? Finn runs around the other side of the rock to yell at Rey that they're taking Chewie, and then they see the transport going, and then he's like, Rey! Chewie! And then points at the ship, because that's all Finn ever
That's all he
does.
ever
Ray
does.
goes.
And he's like, duh? And he's like, Chewie!
And she's like, oh, I got this.
Starts freaking force pulling it down to the ground like she's in Force Unleashed.
And then Kylo's there, and he's like, well,
He's like,
okay.
well, no, I'm gonna push it. I want it to get out of here.
He's
So
like,
he
this
starts
is-
force pushing it.
This is definitely gonna make
But
her mad.
because of the awkward way that he's force pushing it, she's pulling it. It's like he pushes it closer into her range, and then it starts to get pulled down
And then just-
because of the way that
Yeah.
it's a weird way to do things. And then Rey gets angry and just freaking zaps it with force lightning. Somehow
reflex.
she accidentally force lightnings it, and then it just explodes.
It explodes, and I want to mention, later on, Emperor Palpatine shoots lightning into an entire fleet, and none of them explode.
Yeah.
He just EMPs.
And he's been using Force lightning for a while. I mean, he knows how to use it. Rey has no idea.
I
It
guess
just-
it's like, a video game style of AoEs do weaker damage over a larger area. And so she had like a focused force lightning attack on the ship, and that blew it up. But because he was hitting the entire
Because he was
fleet with his
chain
lightning,
lightnings, it was losing energy. Okay.
Yeah.
and then we get an extra close-up of Rey all sweaty with her
it's
hair.
just like,
and
it's just like, yeah, she's like, no, what have I done?
And then
I killed
we,
my
as
character,
an,
they're
we as
cutting
an
me
audience are like, oh yes, remember all the great scenes we've gotten with Rey and Chewie? They were such good friends.
Why did
She
she
must
never
be so
choose it?
sad. No, we're like, oh shoot, they just killed another main character.
In the-
That's why we care.
In the theater, when we were watching it, there was a guy who I'm pretty sure had cerebral palsy.
or something like that, yeah.
Because he was sitting in the like handicap
Yeah.
seats with his caretaker, and I felt really bad for him because he obviously didn't understand like the way these modern stories tend to work. How this was obviously a fake out,
Yeah.
and he just at the top of his lungs let out a no. He was just that broke him.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw this opening night too, the people saying to the left of me walked out of the theater. Never came back.
serious?
Yeah.
Wait.
They never came back.
Dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which is if they had lingered 10 seconds more,
Right.
like,
They would
because the movie undoes this in the next scene.
so casually.
It cuts to the Star Destroyer and Chewie's just there. And then they're
Normally
like,
what you-
and Hux is like, yes, we should imprison him. And then Chewie roars at him and
And then when the
comedic Hux and gets scared by it.
he almost gets his fake hair blown off by Chewie's roar. But then when the characters find Chewie later on, for the audience, we don't care because we already know
Yeah,
he's alive.
it's not a big deal. It's like, finally they found out he's alive. We've
Yeah.
known this for an hour.
Yeah.
That's not how you should write that.
You're like, oh, dude, you're alive.
Cut that freaking scene,
I
and it
think
would at
it's-
least have a little more weight.
I think it's because the writers were so desperate not to lose their audience that they didn't think they could take any risk.
They should have put the scene revealing he's alive a little bit sooner, and they wouldn't have lost those people in your theater.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's too bad for them. They already paid for their ticket, and that's all Disney cares about, so...
So
They got what they want.
yeah, and then it just kind of cuts, and suddenly they've taken off, and they're in an asteroid field just hiding out, the main characters. Kylo was 15 feet away from Rey.
Yeah, like, he just doesn't contest them leaving at all.
What happened there? Is there like a fight scene that got cut? Like what happened?
Or does Kylo go, she uses force lightning. I must ponder this as they leave.
He's just kind of like watching the
Or
ship
he
lift
doesn't
up.
even go like, okay, Rey, just I'm gonna walk away. You're super powerful. Like, all right, I'm walking
Yeah,
away.
I don't remember
Like,
Rey getting into the ship.
No,
How did that
they don't
happen?
show it, as far as I'm
Where
aware.
does it? What does it cut? It cuts to Chewie being on the.
Yeah, and
It
then
cuts to Hux and Pride.
and
right?
then I think it cuts back, and we see the ship lifting off, and then it cuts to them in the asteroid field. That's what I remember.
Wow.
They're just there, and then they're talking, and Rey's like, "It's all my fault," and Finn's like, "Nah."
You could,
you're fine. It's not your fault. And it's like, it's totally your fault.
Oh, and then we cut to the TIE fighters, like tugboat style, towing the Falcon to
Yes,
the
that is a
Star Destroyer.
shot we get. That was such a dumb shot.
Was that
They
was
had
that was
tethers
so
on it.
dumb.
Yeah.
I'll
Was
be
that
honest.
right after that? I don't remember.
I don't know when
happened.
that is, but I personally don't believe that 3 TIE fighters could lift the Falcon.
No way.
Through space, maybe.
Yeah, through space.
But out of the atmosphere,
also,
no.
like, yeah,
No.
because that's how tethers work in space, in the vacuum of space.
The gravity
stri-
definitely pulls the Falcon down in space. Just
about it.
use a tractor beam that's established in the first scene of Star Wars. We have tractor beams.
Yeah, you could have Kylo Ren fly the Falcon. he's a solo. He's just like, yep. You can fly that ship.
This is my polished shite.
So then, yeah, they're mourning, and then they're like, and he had the dagger too, and then 3PO's like, it's a shame. The only place that dagger's lost to us forever. The only other place its writings exist is in my memory banks. And then Poe's like, oh, so we're fine. Like, he literally has a line like that. It's
and
like,
then the movie moves on.
okay.
Entirely.
Oh, and then BB-8 goes and finds a droid that's just sitting in the dust and turns it on.
Abuse
And it's like,
droid.
hello. And then
And this is Ochi's
voiced
droid,
by
right?
JJ
voiced by
himself.
JJ, and then bumps into Rey's leg, and she like tries to pet it or something, and it's like, no, thank you. It's like, and then she's like, oh man,
He must have been abused.
Ochi was a droid abuser. It's like, what? Why?
He was a Sith assassin.
That's why we don't like
He
him.
must have abused
Not
his
because
droid.
he killed two. Not because he killed your parents, but because he was a droid.
What is it?
What does that droid do? It's like a wheel?
I don't know.
And an eye.
It doesn't even have like ports like BB-8. Like
Why
like,
did
BB-8
he
like,
have it?
What? Because it was just like a trashy model.
He had it so that later in the plot we could download all the information from him to figure out something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, so I missed all that, but the people I've heard talking about it and saying that he had the map to Exegol in his data.
Okay.
So
What?
he just
I
gives it
missed
to the
that.
Resistance at the very end in like a throwaway line, and where
Oh
you're
yeah,
not
because he
supposed to notice
crushes
it.
the Sith holocron.
Well, because see, the way
Wayfinder.
I thought the Resistance got there is there's a bit where like
Rey was dropping
Rey
the
was
thing.
dropping beacons on the way there. She's like giving her a connect the dots to
Yeah.
Exegol. But
So like
I
lead
guess
the way,
he
but-
also gave them data of some kind. I just don't remember what it was.
I think I do remember that. It's when Poe just got made a general. This is at the end, and
Yep.
he's by Leia, and he's like all sad, and then the little droid is there, and he's like, "So what's your story, little guy?"
Yeah.
And then he runs out and runs into Finn, and Finn's like, "I'm a general too." And then Poe's like, "That's great." And then he's like, "But I have this droid."
Finn made him a general. Or Poe made Finn a
Poe
general.
made him a general.
Poe goes up to him and he's like,
"Oh right. It's
like,
Finn. Finn
I
talks
can't,
to the little
I can't
droid.
do this alone, buddy.
Yeah, that's
I need
what
you
it
to be a
is.
general with me.
That's what it is.
Like-
Finn is talking to the little droid.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean you can't do this alone?
Come on, Poe.
You've been like practically the de facto leader aside from Leia. Like there was Holdo, but that was nonsense.
Yeah, that,
So
she was there to die.
then they are like, okay, we need to get that. We need to make it so you can translate this stuff. And he's like, the hilarious thing is like they write this in the worst way. You could make it so that he has like a picture of it in his memory, but he can't translate it because of programming. You could do it in a way, but the way they do it is that he's like, oh, I can read it. I know what it says. I know where Exegol is, but I can't tell you because my programming doesn't let me. It's like, okay, then fly the ship and take us there.
Yeah,
You don't
right.
have to tell us.
Yeah.
Just fly us there. Write it down.
Draw a map.
I don't know. Do something. Let's play charades. Like, what?